constantly shifting through the time-space continuum, Metron's three disciples observe the universe from the Mobius Couch.
Because I can feel you breathe, it's washing over me, and suddenly I'm melting into you. There's nothing left to prove. Baby, all we need is just to be on the Mobius Couch, a time-space interdimensional vehicle from which your three hosts survey the world of comics, comic book movies, and manga. Sometimes manga. We're international. Ladies and gentlemen, today's lyrical intro is, of course, Faith Hill's Breathe, the top song of 2000.
Of course it is.
Appropriate because 2000 is the year in which
This book
Jeph
ends?
Loeb's Dark Victory ended. And that is what we're talking about tonight. This is part two. If you haven't listened to part one, we did a part one on the first six issues. First seven issues?
First 8, kind of, because there was issue 0.
Zero.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's not really. I mean, that's like 5 pages.
let's say 7 to 8.
Yeah, 7 to 8.
7 to 8 issues. That's available on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. Today is part 2, where we will talk about the latter half of Dark Victory.
The last
Jeph Loeb and Tim
6.
Sale. Batman, the Batman. Joining me as usual are Joe.
Oh, hey. Hey, Al.
What's up?
Hey, a brother and a son.
Hey.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just getting by.
Good.
Still years in, just our small talk rapport is just not there. It's not quite there.
Just waiting for you to introduce Patrick.
And Patrick.
What's up, bitches?
Ooh.
Hey, Patty.
Ooh,
I don't
bring
know
the
if that's
sassiness.
I don't know if
Shut
that's the vibe. I don't know if that's the vibe we need.
This is camaraderie. This is our rapport.
This is camaraderie. This is what
You dumb sluts.
Okay, whore.
Hey, what? Hey.
This is the new
It's
Patrick.
fine. This is just we're just
Hey.
talking to each other with the new Patrick, who's a dumb slut.
I'm not as dumb as you sluts.
So Dark Victory, as again, if you want the larger context of all this comic, you probably want to listen to part 1. We went into background, production notes, the creative team, all of that. But getting back into Dark Victory, again, the writer is Jeph Loeb, art by Tim Sale. We're going to start with the Joker issue, which is issue 8 or 9, however you want to number it.
It's issue number 8.
It's
the
the
original
Mother's Day
13.
issue. It's the Mother's Day because the conceit of all of this is just like the Long Halloween. All these issues take place during holidays because this is a sequel to the Long Halloween. And so today's is Mother's Day. First of all,
does it take place over the holidays per se?
well, they're kind of
Or does it take place over
connected.
a year?
Well, they're loosely connected over.
Sure. It's less holiday focused, I would say. It just takes place over.
We brought this up off air, but the cover of this issue is very House of Slaughter. Very Something is Killing the Children, of Joker says.
Yeah. Do you think that's where they got that?
Probably not, right? You think they just lifted it from this? I don't think so. They just got a creepy kind of...
Probably a coincidence, maybe.
Probably. I don't know.
Probably.
This is from the year
Probably.
2000, so maybe. Tim Sale.
But
man,
the whole like large toothy evil grin thing has, I mean, Spawn did that with Violator or whatever.
that's
It's,
true, and Venom before that.
yeah, and also Bleach kind of has that in some of the visored masks and stuff. It's been done.
Oh yeah,
It's been done.
Yeah.
all over.
How old is Bleach?
old.
At this point, old. Yeah, I mean, 20 years old.
Older than
so-
2000?
No, I think it's about 2004, 5 maybe is when that started. Yeah.
I was gonna say, so yeah, the Violator thing. I mean, I guess the Violator, sort of.
I mean, I don't mean
I do love how
exact
Tim
copies,
Sale
but I
draws
just
the
mean
Joker
that
very-
large, toothy grin. Kind
Just a
of motif.
1,000 teeth and just
He does look like
It
a
makes
supernatural
no
monster.
sense. Yes, it makes
That
no
is so. You know, I know last time we talked a lot about how much we love Tim Sale's art, his art. Sorry, his Joker is weird. Like he doesn't. It's not a human being. It's like physiologically not human. It's
Yeah,
weird.
like it doesn't make any. I mean, he is from the neck down, but like the head is just.
Oh, you like what you see from the neck down? Was that?
I mean, he's a human being. I mean,
Yeah, but his teeth are.
Yeah, he's definitely a
the mouth.
butterface.
It's like insane. Yeah, but so the issue starts with him shooting up. So he shoots up the Maroney's restaurant.
Yeah.
What's this line? His sister and his daughter? What is that a joke? I didn't understand that.
No
joke.
idea.
What are you talking about?
I didn't get
You
it
killed
either.
my sister, my daughter. She's my
You
sister
dirty
and
rat!
my
You killed my
daughter.
brother.
Is that an incest
And my sister
joke?
and my daughter, and she's my sister and my daughter. Yeah, it's a dumb joke.
It's an incest joke? Is that okay?
I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, a little inappropriate, but all right.
I guess. Are you gonna?
Well, I just,
Joker need to be appropriate now.
family is very important to Italians, and he's attacking an Italian establishment talking about incest. I think that's
Well, he's not just
a little
attacking
insensitive.
them. He's
It's a
attacking.
little insensitive.
It seems like he's weirdly on his own detective run of chaos.
I have to
try to
say,
figure out who.
No, he's working for Two-Face. He's
The
doing it
motives-
together with Two-Face at this point.
But
the
the motives
motives
are a little more
behind-
jokery than Two-Face.
just
Yeah.
in general, the motives of outside of Mr. Freeze, they make it very clear that he's in it for the money. I'm like, I don't understand why the other rogues are just kind of like going along with Two-Face's.
That's one
Well, Solomon
comment.
Grundy and him have like a little, they're best buds.
Like Joker, Scarecrow, Mad Hatter,
Poison
Well,
Ivy,
Joker,
too.
Poison Ivy.
Joker mentions money and or power throughout these issues. Two-Face is kind of carrying on what Holiday did in the Long Halloween, where he's like whittling away and taking out the rest of the mafia, which is kind of his goal as Harvey Dent even as well.
Yeah.
But the other villains, I think, are kind of on board with that, because that will like usher in the new age of like the villains.
Yes.
being
I
the
think
new-
the thing is, to Patrick's point, none of this is so it almost feels like there's a one-off side issue or a related other comic that maybe delves into this more, because to Joe's point, a lot of it is implied, just that this idea that Two-Face is, well, the kind of escalated Batman cadre of crazy villains is taking turf from the mafia, and they're the new guard, and they're coming in, and like from now on, Gotham crime is going to be
Yeah, it's kind of
Scarecrow,
a
Ivy,
continuation
and
of
all
the
these
themes
people.
of Batman Year One too. I mean,
Yeah, and
which is
so-
obvious, but
And I think the kind of the parallel is that just like mafias are families and tight-knit organizations, because this is still early and the mafia still is the organized crime paradigm in Gotham, Two-Face is trying to create his own crime family with these other crazies that are monstrous, insane people just like he is. He's building his own mafia family of all these people. But all of this is very implied and not directly.
no, it's not.
It's not
You'd have to
really
like
ever
read it a
directly
few
addressed.
times and
Yeah.
kind of even have had read Long Halloween recently, so you can kind of remember what Two-Face's like motives are, kind of thing. Like, I mean, it's well written in that respect, where they don't retread a bunch of shit and have to like you have to read a bunch of dialogue or exposition, but like it's also left wanting in some areas in terms of like what characters' motivations are, because you're expected to kind of like remember from like the last time.
Right. And there's no issue
They came out years
dedicated
apart.
to the
Yeah.
there's no single issue just dedicated to why each villain joined the group. And
Well,
what
that's the
they're doing.
problem,
You just have to
because they're
kind of
like they're
suss it
kind
out.
of running the gamut still, even in issue 8, of like keeping the reader questioning what everyone's motives are, because then it would help reveal who is not the Hangman. So they're kind of like, even though it's probably not the Joker, you're just kind of going like, well, it could be, kind of thing. Like maybe he's running off on his own now to be a crazy person.
Right, but even later in the anyway, I just meant to kind of address Patrick's thing. I get it. I mean, I agree. It does feel like something that almost in a side series is delved into more to explain this. But in this, it's really just kind of implied that they're all working together to supplant the mafia and become the new crime family, basically.
Well, it was kind of
Gotham.
I kind of wish they had given us a little bit more, because it seemed like it was a big reveal when Batman figures out that they're all working together, and Gordon, God, it's a whole conspiracy. All these freaks are working together, and then they never really delve into that much about what the fuck, like how they all got together and decided to team up and become, the Injustice League or whatever.
Yeah. Also, using freaks is pretty insensitive on Jim's part. That's not really current. Modern lingo.
Is that like Matt Damon in Ocean's 12?
No, Matt Damon in Project Greenlight, yeah. One other, I did want to tie this into something more topical. So talking about like incest and Italians. In the that's a weird way to introduce it because I'm really just talking about the
really,
Penguin show. But in
really
the Penguin show, there's an episode I just saw where Sophia's talking to someone and like they mention Luca, who's the current head of the family.
Mhm.
And actually, I think it's Penguin's helper makes the comment of like, "Isn't that her cousin or something?" He's like, "It's her uncle, but they're all fucking related. Don't worry." And I just laugh at that because it's true. They're all just fucking related. Don't worry about it.
The Penguin show borrows quite a bit from this storyline.
Oh, super. Yeah. I mean, again,
yeah.
all the fantastical
obviously,
elements are stripped out, but plot-wise, a lot of it, bothers me.
Yeah.
Including like
And
Hangman
also-
references and all
Well,
that.
I mean, I guess
Yeah.
you know, I don't know how far you are out. I was going to say spoilers for the Penguin show, but that's not what people are here to talk about.
No,
So
we
let's
can
not.
spoil Dark Victory because we made that clear
Yeah.
that we're discussing this, but we don't need to spoil the Penguin. But it
exactly
does
true.
bother heavily from that. Also, just that whole plot of like a Batman villain taking stuff for the mafia is for me.
Yeah.
I like Porter. So they're outside, like Batman and Gordon are kind of working better together now, and they're having a conversation with Porter, and she's like, "Why is he here? He's going through evidence and shit like that." They're kind of talking about it, and she's like, "He's smaller than I thought he'd be," and I was like, "What? He's
Yes, I loved it because the framing he is ginormous next to her.
Well, also she's tiny. I mean, Gordon's like probably average height, I would assume.
No, but Batman is a giant man. I mean, Batman.
She's like
is
6 or 7 inches shorter than Gordon, and she's looking up at him saying that, and Batman's like so huge. And I'm like, what are the?
He's a solid like. There's one panel where he's like a solid 2.5, 3 feet taller than her.
Well, we talked about it in part 1. There's panels where he attacks people, and he is literally three times the size of the grunt he's beating. He is a large man. Yeah. So they find also Joker shoots up banks and like almost Bruce Wayne. Like he's just shooting up a lot. He's going hog wild on Gotham. But
the Falcone penthouse.
At the same time, Porter and Gordon find the next Hangman victim in the police garage. I just want to talk about this like really kind of coy sexual pose Jim is in with his ass in the air, just crawling over a car.
What is wrong with you?
Like, wow, if someone were to take advantage of me right now. But why?
He's jumping up on the hood of the car to try to save the guy.
That is a sensual.
Oh, that's a key though. The change here is that like the people on his like clean cop team are starting to get murdered now. It's not just like the dirty fucking cops from year 1.
Right.
Like
it's the new SWAT team. It's
the new cool squad that he put together that's starting to get murdered.
Right. If you all don't remember from part 1, he put together this weird extra legal SWAT team that shoots up neighborhoods at the drop of a hat.
Super legal.
Yeah. Okay. But that's not how I would climb it. That is a weird way to climb a car, and it just seems very inviting and strange. I wouldn't climb a car that way. That's all I wanted to say.
How would you climb a car, Al?
Well, actually, if Porter was looking at me, maybe I would climb a car that way. And just say, well, if someone were to take advantage of me, what would I do?
After shooting up basically everybody trying to get at...
I do. Another point I want to make, and not a joke one, a serious one, is I know that the twist that we're already kind of aware of is that Porter's involved with Two-Face, but I sort of like the rapport she and Jim are developing as they ostensibly work together, even though they're not really working together because we know she's evil, but they're ostensibly working together. And I don't know, their relationship and how they play off each other and work together, I sort of enjoyed in these later issues.
That's my big note for the entire second half is how much I liked Porter. And I really hate that she's basically two different characters because the majority of the time she is incredibly smart, very with it. She doesn't really get rattled very easily at all. She goes up against Batman plenty of times. The part when Batman kind of tries to intimidate her, saying, you went to school at Harvard the same time as Alberto, like blah, blah, blah. And she immediately snaps back and says, if you did the right research, you'd know that Alberto transferred out like a year before I transferred in. So you're fucking wrong. And then when she says, if you don't be careful, like I'm going to start looking into or she says, stay out of my personal life. Otherwise I'm going to start digging around in yours. And it seemed like more of a threat coming from her. Cause I was like, this bitch is like with it. And I feel like if she applied herself, Bruce is still
Yeah,
kind of
she
very
would go
messy at
after
this
him.
point.
Yeah, also the
Yeah, I
comment
mean-
she makes to Jim of, oh, well, he's smaller than I thought he'd be. You know, she can
Yeah.
hold her own against Batman. And the way her arc,
Do you think that bravery
fizzles out
is
at the
her,
end
or do
is
you think
kind
it's the
of-
fact that she's working with Two-Face and like gives her
I think
like the way
it's
she
her.
acts kind of bleeds into like
no,
how
I think it's more her, because when she's with Two-Face and connected to him, she kind of degenerates into a
Yes.
fawning,
into like a little schoolgirl.
yeah, like an
hate it. I hate
ineffectual
it.
fawning follower of Two-Face's, and she kind of
Yeah.
loses the agency and strength that she has in other scenes. So I think it's more just her ability in these interactions.
She becomes even in during the trial. I mean, not to jump around, but she's very good in that scene too, going head to head with Two-Face. They're on the same team, but not really, because I don't think Two-Face really let her know that they were going to explode the courthouse. But I guess my whole point is that she's written very well as a very strong character. And I guess that's the point.
Until the end, like her arc just fizzles out into nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, I disagree. I mean, I don't think it fizzles. I think it's cut short very purposefully.
But it was just like the typical, I don't know. Rereading it this time, I was just really enjoying her character. And to y'all's original point, it developed the camaraderie developing with Gordon, and even the way she kind of pops off when I think Mario calls her out for some random thing, and she's like, from now on, I contact you. Don't ever contact me again. Like, don't do this shit. And I don't know, just to see her devolve into this fangirl that just completes.
You know,
like
Patty, I noticed that's not the first time you've called him Mario.
There's Mario and there's Alberto.
Are you close with him?
Who?
Yeah, do you mean Mr. Falco?
I see what you did there.
No, I really like that little man. Even now, like, even that throwaway line of like, nothing. It's just I've noticed you refer to Falcone as Mario a lot, you know, kind of thing. And she's like, "What the fuck are you implying?" And he's like, "Nothing, you know, kind of thing." And it's there for the reader to be like, even though we as the reader knows that she's with Two-Face at this point, you're still going like, oh, interesting. Like, does that mean like Mario could still be? I was waiting for the other shoe to drop on Mario like the whole time. Like he's trying to go legit.
Yeah.
Like everything's going up. Let's put it this way: I totally bought the wheelchair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but let's be honest. The only Falcone that really matters is Sophia. I think
let's get to Sophia, because that bitch is committed to that act. When the Joker shows up,
would you just be chilling out?
But I don't think so. I think
not to be able to get to a gun as the Joker walked down the goddamn stairs.
I don't think
because I fucking wouldn't.
I don't think that's what's happening. I think
that's 100% what's happening.
I think if Alberto and then Batman hadn't shown up, she would have just grabbed the gun and shot him. I think she was just biding her moment, but if no one else had intervened, she would have just grabbed the gun and shot him.
I mean, she's very capable. So
from where she's at right now, though.
No, I thought she was baiting. I mean, knowing later. Okay, so for the
listeners, that's a fair point.
Later, you know, obviously, hopefully,
hey, spoilers for the series. Sophia's the Hangman, and everything we're going to be talking about relating to her is going to be revolving around that topic.
So we find out later she's a Hangman, and she's not really paralyzed. So I think at this point she's basically baiting Joker to just come down, and she would have.
Makes sense. I just like the Joker's so fucking crazy that like the balls to like bait him like that and like wait a second is fucking. That's insane.
But Joker specifically says that he doesn't think she's crippled. He says, "Call me crazy. Okay, you're crazy, but I think you can get up." That's the whole like part.
Yeah, and that's his whole point. He's like, "I'm gonna come down there and I'm gonna shoot you in 3 seconds." You know, like.
But that's exactly why she's just baiting it. I think is she's just baiting it because she knows that he's.
So you're gonna wait for 3 to happen before you turn around and shoot him?
Yeah, just
I would have waited till
closer,
2.
keep him off
max.
guard, and then bam, that kind of thing. But we don't get to see that because then you know Alberto.
I mean, I don't think she could see him from her perspective either. Like her back's to him.
She has.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying. I get what you're saying, Al, but I feel like it's
here.
fucking risky as shit based on the situation she's in.
Well, isn't it just as risky as continuing to pretend you're paralyzed until you die? Isn't that also just as risky? I don't understand what the alternative is.
What do you mean? That's what I'm at. That's what I'm saying.
That's what we're saying.
That's what's fucking insane about it.
She's still pretending to be crippled. Like
Right, but but my point is right. It's to bait him in to the. Anyway, it doesn't matter because Alberto shows up.
No, I see where I see where you're coming from. I just don't. I don't.
I don't understand why
Maybe
she
she
didn't
assumed she could
get
survive.
out of the wheelchair and break his face at the top of the stairs before. Like, why did she even? Let
Well,
him
then
go?
I can see that at that point I understand her keeping up the ruse. It's when she tumbles down the stairs and then pretends to be looking for a gun. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Grab the gun and turn around and shoot him.
Also, I do think, I mean, from a storyline perspective, regardless of
maybe she just had knowledge of Alberto with the gun and like knew he was close by and like not was.
I mean, he is in.
Like,
He is in
a
that
second. I have a
panel.
second.
But regardless of those like intent details, I do think Jeph Loeb's point here is probably just to continue fooling the reader into thinking,
Oh,
she must really
100%,
be crooked.
100%.
If
Yeah, but
if
I
this
feel like
is
he's
going
trying to
on, then she must
be.
really be
I think he's
crippled.
trying to be too clever with this scene. It was just kind of like didn't work.
You know
for
what?
me. I will say the lettering.
That's exactly my
call
point.
out letterers, but
The very first time I read this, that's what made me cross her off my list because I was like, no one would fucking. That's insane. Like no one would wait.
See, let me
mean?
show you a let me show you a panel, and I guess this is going to be maybe praised for Tim Sale, but this panel where after Batman arrives and is kind of beating up the Joker, you see her ask, like, is Batman here? Is the Joker getting away? Something about her eye made me wonder, like, does she know
basically
more
Batman's
than
beating the
she's
shit out of
letting?
Alberto, and she says, "What the fuck are you doing? The Joker's getting away. Like you're beating up my helpless piece of shit brother." Instead of going after the Joker, kind of thing.
Yeah, but something about the way Tim Sale draws her eye made me wonder, like, wait a minute. Maybe she does know more than she's letting on, or something.
I think that's
going
just.
on.
I mean, I see where you're getting. I see where you're getting that from.
Yeah, I think he drew.
I don't disagree. There is some like weight
There's
to the weight.
something about
They
it, like
zoomed
an
in on the
almost
eye.
wink, wink. There's something about that eye stare that made me wonder that maybe she knows more or is more capable.
Well, that's the point. Like that's but from that you go, wait, there's no way anyone that I could actually walk would let the Joker push them downstairs and then just sit there while they're about to get shot. And then on the other side, you get that eyeball shot, and you're like, fuck.
Is it? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like kind of thing. And you're like, God damn. So that's what they do so well in this series and the one before it.
Right. And
it speaks
both to Loeb. It speaks both to Loeb and Tim Sale's art.
Yeah.
Just in that one still panel, they can portray that nuance.
Patrick, what were you going to say about the letterer?
Just the way that the Joker counts, how he does it, like
in one,
two,
yeah.
I thought it was a good effect. Subtle.
Yeah, how it's kind of squiggly and unsteady.
Yeah. I think for that scene to work, they just had to have a third party. They just had to have one other individual that she'd blow her cover if that's all they had to do. And I don't know. But anyways, moving on to Batman breaking my favorite part. Well, when Alberto shoots Joker, I feel like Joker breaks character because he goes, "You shot me, you bitch!"
You bitch.
I thought that was like very, very un-Joker like.
I love that because of two things. One, because Joker never considers any of the other villains like on his level, and it's like one of those things where it like just calling Holiday a bitch just made me laugh. Kind of like because to Joker's knowledge, that guy is Holiday. Like whether it's Two-Face and Gilda and him, or whatever the fuck you want to draw your conclusions from the first book and be like, well, Alberto probably only did one of the murders or whatever. We came to the conclusion. We had a number. I don't remember. Yeah. But like to Joker's knowledge, he doesn't think it's Two-Face. Later, like when they had the trial of the Calendar Man was like, oh, you want to know who Holiday is? He was, blah, blah. And Two-Face is like, shut the fuck up. As in, like, he doesn't want anybody else to know he was Holiday or Gilda, kind of thing.
Yeah, and sorry, just to follow up on an earlier point, this is another panel. This one, so after Alberto has shot Joker, Sophia says Alberto, like questioning, but her eye is just dead serious. It's like completely dry.
Oh yeah, it's like what she's saying is like,
but what
Alberto, are you there? But really, her eyes are saying like, I know.
But her eye is just like staring at that gun.
I know where the
forward. So that's the kind of thing that makes you wonder what's going on. So anyway, great work on that.
You shot me, you bitch. I think is just Joker being like, I don't know if it's breaking characters. What I'm saying, I think it's like him dropping the Joker thing for like a second, but also like his disdain for other villains, so to speak, is quite obvious at times, and I think that's what I got from that, I guess is what I'm saying. Because he's already laughing like a second later. Get away from my sister, Joker, now. And he's like, heh. You're like, what the fuck? Like a lunatic. Anyway.
And then Batman brutalizes him.
Yeah, Batman comes in like a professional wrestler, like, and just starts beating the shit out of Alberto. And then Sophia's like, "What are you fucking doing? Joker's getting away." And then you see Batman basically stumbling outside, being like, "Joker!" Grabs Joker, starts pummeling the shit out of him. It's like there's no questions asked. He's just a brawler who came here to hurt.
He's just unleashed like a racehorse out the gate. Just beating.
He's a detective, Joe. He's supposed to have some couthness.
He also beats the shit out of fucking murderers.
Well, I do love that scene of just like beating up Alberto, and then Sophia's like,
I do love
Joker is also here. And he's like,
really? You know what? Because like that's what I'm thinking in my own head as I'm reading it. Like I'm going like, why the fuck is he going with that joke? He's beating up this crippled idiot.
I don't think he noticed Joker was even there until Sophia told him.
Let's put it this way: he could have gone straight after the Joker, beat the shit out of him, and come right back inside, and Alberto would still be cowering at the top of the stairs.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have gone anywhere. Like it's Alberto. Come on.
But in my mind, it's just Sophia like telling him, like, buddy, the Joker, like, did you notice the Joker's here too? And they say, oh, God, beat up, and then he runs over.
Like it's not another polished Batman.
Yeah. Another cool art note, the way Tim Sale draws him in this panel, it almost looks like a predator that's eating its meal.
I know, like, I love, like,
it's like startled by a headlight.
We mentioned it before about how the cape is, like, alive. But, like, when he's jumping through the air or doing something physical, the way Tim Sale will just like remove the cape from like a hindrance to him in any way and just has it like shooting around in back of him or something is so awesome. But then also, I just love that like Batman the Animated Series did it wonderfully in the opening credits. I think like Batman hits the ground and like the whole cape like slinks off the ground as he stands, like, and I love that draped fashion that the cape is doing there.
Yeah, like, but I just like it
on the ground, and then as he stood up, it just kind of like it's like picking up a sheet from the center, kind of thing.
Yeah,
like, I love
it. The pose Sale has them in that panel, it looks like a predator eating its meal, and like you turn on a spotlight and startle it, and it kind of looks at you. It's really evocative. That's
so.
I like that.
The Joker went on a rampage. Batman caught him. We're no closer to knowing who the Hangman is, and the big part of this issue was the wheelchair thing that we just ripped apart. But it kind of ends with the Zuko threatening Haley from Haley Circus real fast for 2 seconds.
The circus.
The Flying Grayson. So that's your star attraction, huh? Be ashamed if something happened to them,
Yeah, it's pretty subtle.
I mean, with them being way up there and the ground being way down here.
I know we ended last episode with this. I just, again, want to talk about Robin's dad.
Yeah. I just...
look at this. Going on? Look at this picture. He's just hip popped out. He's a bald like a circus strongman with a handlebar mustache and a bald head.
Never before has his father ever been drawn that way.
It's just a weird look for Robin's dad.
Yeah.
All right, and so let's go to the next issue. So how do you all feel about when I was first reading this? It was a little bit jarring that we basically skip over the Grayson's death scene and the adoption.
Oh, no, I love that. It's the Pearl thing all over again. You were just bitching about it last episode. I never need to see that again.
Joe.
Yeah.
I did not say I didn't like this. I just thought I found it jarring because I'm so used to, again, the overly exposed, like, let's go to the circus.
I mean, they show it in very dramatic fashion. But... I get your point. It's very silent. There's not a lot of words. It's just
in 4 pages, they just summarize. Yeah. It's like a montage of the Grayson's death.
I think it's fantastic. I love the panel of...
Well, time out.
Time
out. The cover of the issue, I love. The parallel of Tiny Bruce and Batman and Tiny Dick and Robin on that cover is incredible. Love that. Go ahead, Joe. I just wanted to make that cover note that it's a beautiful cover.
You're totally fine. I will stop to talk about art anytime. Talking about the panels where his family dies, I love the panel of just Bruce sitting there in like the spotlight and all the stands are empty. It's all kind of red. It's all pinkish red colors and tones going on, except for Robin in the one double page spread of like Robin still up high on the trapeze thing, like as his parents are already on the ground. It's fucking brutal as shit. And like everyone's reacting in the stands, and Bruce is just looking up at Dick. Like he's not like looking at like what's going on. He's just like, oh shit, that kid just went through what I went through. And I like the look on his face is like brutal. Like it's sympathy mixed with like almost like, how did I let this happen again kind of thing? Like I fucked up and you're like, it's not your fault, bud, you know, kind of thing. But man, and then the fact that he's still standing there X amount of time later, and obviously everyone's gone except for Dick and his family. And you're just like, I just fucking love it. What a great way to sum that event up. They could have gone into more detail with like Zuko and been like, I'm going to put acid on the fucking, you know, like, or whatever. But it's like, you don't need any of that. Just, you know, loved it.
Yeah. And again, I'm fine with them just kind of skipping over it because it's something that we've seen 50 million times in Batman comics. But I just mean reading
double
this
page spread is beautifully drawn. Like like of them on the ground and Robin up high. Like you can see how hugely tall it was. Like from that like bubble eye, fisheye perspective, like the crowd's so tiny. There's elephants on the ground. Like, you know, like it looks so far away, and you're just like, oh, that would be fucking brutal to like watch your family fall that far, and you're just like,
and
watch.
I know we keep making art notes, but I just like Tim Sale's is on another level. But you can see these are technically two different panels of Robin reaching down to his dead family and Bruce looking up from the stands. They're different panels, but if you look at the pages, they're looking at each other. Is connecting them, you know, from Robin to Bruce. Yeah. It's like one straight line connecting there.
Brilliant. He's a brilliant man.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it's incredibly constructed. Yeah.
Why do we keep losing all these awesome artists? By the way, I can't wait until next year when we cover the last Halloween.
2-page splash of him in like a theater box looking on. I mean, it's just so well done. Even though we do get to see just his dad's weird bald body. It's just there. And then immediately we kind of juxtapose that with Robin perched on a chandelier at Wayne Manor, because I guess he's still up in the air. That's totally talking to Alfred.
I love the way, like, so the rest of the issue is basically like not so much Bruce, but kind of Alfred dealing with Dick. And I kind of love it because it's just
it's just like Batman Forever.
Yeah, he just leaves him alone in the house. He starts whipping laundry around.
That's we've talked about. I think. Look, if you know the Mobius Couch, you know that we all love Batman Forever, and all three of us believe it's the greatest Batman film of all time.
Obviously, it's the best one ever.
But in Batman Forever, this is very Batman Forever. Like Dick and
that Two-Face, by the way, perfect.
Yeah, and Alfred.
I really like in Batman Forever how they got rid of the mob aspect whatsoever, and it was just Two-Face with a weird bomb for no reason. That killed his parents.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's Tommy Lee Jones.
I love how they just rewrote his entire origin story. And when they made him 30, so much better.
Yeah, I also like that he had an angel sex slave and then like a demon sex slave.
Yeah.
To be his two halves. You know, and they would each serve one side of him. I thought that was, great.
One of Lauren and I will joke all the time about one line from that movie specifically, and it's when Val Kilmer goes, "Tell me, doctor, do you like the circus?"
Do you like the circus?
He has a lisp or something going on in that scene for some reason, and it makes us laugh every time.
My favorite line.
Circus comes up, she will literally just say it like verbatim. Like it has nothing to do with.
Line. I think we've talked about this before, but my favorite line is Chris O'Donnell does a bad Jamaican accent and goes like, like "Ride my love machine." Like welcome to the love machine, baby. Like in a weird bad
when he's riding around in the Batmobile.
Yeah, when he steals the Batmobile and gets attacked by the Neon Gang.
Yeah, the Neon Gang.
There's a gang in Batman Forever. This posits a world where there's a Neon Gang that fights with glow sticks, like LED glow sticks.
No, there's just black lights all over the alleyways.
Black lights.
No, they fight with like glow stick, like bow staffs.
It's
it's black paint.
Yeah, just paint.
Oh, I see. So they set up the phosphorescent
lights.
They
set up all the lights in their territory. Then they're like, hey, let's paint all our weapons with this light. Light paint. Listen.
Joel Schumacher directed that, and he's the man who answered the question, what if Gotham City was decorated like the set from Rent?
No, he's the man who answered the question that WB had and said, could you make us $1 million in toys? And he's like, done.
And he did. He's like, I'm on that.
And he's like, I got it.
Okay, but anyway, connecting back to this Dark Victory, just like in Batman Forever, Robin and Alfred connect, and it's Alfred who kind of grooms Robin.
Well, it's also Alfred having like flashbacks to Bruce's like immediate time after his parents died, and how like similar it is, and they even go into the same room weirdly, because it's not like Dick knew that was his mother's room. He just like happened to go in there, and he's like, "What are you doing?"
I mean, obviously that house is clearly haunted, and I'm sure the spirits led him there.
Yeah.
It's
anyway, I really love
a haunted house.
The juxtaposition between like the blue pages being Dick in the present and like the black and white imagery of like when Bruce was kind of doing the same things was pretty awesome. I really liked it. And it's kind of Alfred going like, I understand what we're doing here. You know, this boy is you. You know, like I understand why we took him in, kind of thing. But like I don't know. I like it.
Child Bruce has too full, like his eyebrows are too full for a child. That's all I wanted to say. They're too so thick for a child's eyebrows.
It's a weird nitpick.
Tell me I'm wrong. I'm listening. If you want to tell me I'm wrong, I'd love to hear.
I mean, I don't know.
What ethnicity
like that? What ethnicity is Bruce?
He's gonna be white, right?
He's just white. But I mean, like what? Like, you know, white from where? Is there
I'd say probably like Wayne,
vaguely European.
Bruce Wayne. That's got to be some kind of like whatever, like British, Welsh.
Yeah, British, like UK kind of thing.
That kind of thing, right?
Yeah. I was just wondering.
But those are too bushy. His eyebrows are, you know, a child shouldn't have eyebrows that thick.
So we get our next murder victim. It's, again, one of Commissioner Gordon's little crew of guys. And then, basically, they have a little meeting, and they're like, hey, where's Wilcox? And they're like, I don't know. He's supposed to check in. he's dead. That's where he's at. But I do love at the end, Batman shows up and just randomly starts talking to Dick Grayson, who's like on the top of the Wayne Manor, and he's just like, hey, man, how's it going? Kind of thing. And it's like, he's connecting with Dick like more as Batman than as Bruce Wayne, which I think is very funny in like a really weird way.
But I think it fits just with this idea that he doesn't know how to be Bruce. Bruce Wayne isn't who he is. He doesn't know how to be Bruce. I mean, it fits into his relationship with Selina Kyle, his relationship with even Alfred in a sense. Basically everybody, like he is not Bruce. Back to a Batman Begins line, not Forever, but Batman Begins line.
Oh, one of the worst Batman movies.
Yeah, I mean, really.
There's
awful,
no Riddler.
Awful interpretation of the character. Yeah. But in that movie, towards the end, he makes a lie. He says to Katie Holmes, Bruce Wayne is the Batman is not the mask. Yeah. I am Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask, which is because Christopher Nolan loves just spoon feeding thematic content as literal dialogue, but it's a whole other discussion. But I think that's what Jeph Loeb and Sale are going for
to the mainstream audience. All the comic book readers have always known that.
Well, right. But that's what's going on here, I think, exactly, is that idea that Batman is who this human being is. Like, he is Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask. That's the skin he does not naturally inhabit, is Bruce Wayne. Batman is where he's more at home and can, in a weird way, almost more naturally interact with other people.
The conversation they're having, I love, only because Dick's very fiery, also very... Janice? Is it Janice Porter? Janice?
Yeah, there's another good Porter.
But he stands up to Batman too. He's like, Batman, what the fuck are you doing here? And then he's like, what do you know about me? Also, and he's like, I know enough. And he's like, I keep thinking about what happened. My father always checked the lines. It just couldn't be an accident. And Batman's just like, it wasn't. You know, like just like straight. He's like, it wasn't. The trapeze rope that snapped, it was made to look like it was worn out. But I found traces of an acid on the rope, just enough, and I've seen what that acid can do to people. I like the subtle,
the hint to Two-Face
there that he's like Zuko specific or like Maroni, technically, but like the Two-Face acid, yes,
yeah. Also, that earlier discussion with Porter is what Patrick mentioned, way back at the beginning of the episode of kind of you should do your homework better. But you can also see, I love that like he just towers over her and she's just like doesn't want any of that.
She just stands
not
up.
having it. Not having it. I did want to make a point though, Joe. I don't know if it's the healthiest way to deal with trauma to just say like, don't worry, I'll avenge your dead parents.
There's nothing healthy about what Batman's doing.
Yeah, certainly not. Yeah.
Well, he also doesn't say that, does he? He doesn't say that, all right? He says,
Dick
says, I want to help. And he said, you will when the time is right, I promise. As in, like, I understand what you're going through, and I'm going to let you help, which is fucked up. That's fucked up.
Yeah, and he feeds the child info of, like, I found that it was acid on the ropes. Someone definitely murdered your parents, child.
Well, Dick's like, I remember seeing a guy talking to Mr. Haley at the circus. He said something about how it'd be a shame if anything happened to my... And he doesn't finish the sentence, but he's like, he was a big fat guy. And then Batman's like, I know immediately who you're talking about. But he doesn't say that. He just goes...
No, he just goes back inside. But no, it's very heavily implied, I will handle that for you.
Phenomenal. Like the weight of their relationship throughout the rest of the series is built upon what was just said out loud in this issue. I feel, the
other thing I do,
the entire basis of like what their relationship is in this series is like built up.
Another thing that I kind of struggle with this because we kind of joked about this just now, but Dick and Bruce's relationship is clearly not like traditionally healthy in like a real familial psychological sense. I definitely want to preface that. Like, I don't believe this is how adults should interact with children in any way. I don't think adults should train children to be their child soldiers to fight night crimes.
I got to rethink my own kids' lives.
So I just want to put that out there. However, suspending disbelief and living within the world of this comic, I love how Dick and Bruce, basically, they don't connect through like dialogue or discourse or sharing information. They just connect through their shared experience. Their trauma brings them together. And it's basically what isn't said that connects them. Yeah. And that draws them together. And throughout all these issues, as their relationship develops, it doesn't develop with like, let's have a heart-to-heart talk. What are you looking for? How can I help? It just develops in this natural, like I through nonverbal cues am confirming that I know what you're feeling and vice versa. And that is the relationship they're building. And I think Sale and Loeb really do a great job of portraying that. Again, I get that that's not a good way to raise a child. I understand that. I mean, in the context of this fictional world.
Within the suspension of disbelief that Batman eventually has a Robin. This is one of the better tellings of that story.
Right. In the context of this world, in this fictional world, I liked how they developed the relationship non-verbally through this almost like energy aura connection between
them. Through Batman and Dick, not Bruce and Dick, until he reveals that he is Bruce. But like, like up until that point, he's like, this guy's a dick. He hasn't even been here, like to Alfred. That was the whole issue, really. And the next issue opens up with like, Dick, do you like the fireworks? And he's like, what do you care? Kind of thing. And I'm like, I love it. Just like the little bits that he's just like, I know it seems like I'm failing you, but I'm not. But he doesn't say it. He just goes, okay. And then just leaves, kind of thing. It's just so well done.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to the next issue is Mr. Freeze.
Issue number 10, Mr. Freeze. This issue is mostly Gordon's team going underground to try to get at Two-Face,
which is actually, I love this. This is a great kind of action issue.
Yeah.
I do want another art note. I like how Wayne Manor is almost drawn as it's sort of like a children's picture book sort of stylized way here with these fireworks. So that was kind of interesting. It almost looks like something out of like Babar the elephant or something.
I love
very stylized.
My favorite part about that entire panel is just Alfred in the front yard shooting the fireworks. He's very small.
And also
a massive cannon shooting fireworks into the sky. It's really funny.
And we also see Bruce kind of awkwardly leave, and Dick making the point of like, I guess you're leaving like always.
Yeah.
And again, I think it goes back to that earlier point of just as Bruce, he cannot really be Bruce. Like he can't connect to anyone as Bruce.
He's like, we'll
he can't
talk
really
later.
inhabit that. Well,
he's like, Dick, I know we have a lot to talk about, but he's like, but you've got other plans. Like he cuts him off, and I'm just like, he's like, big. Yeah, it's just great. The dialogue between him and Bruce is great. The dialogue between him and Batman is great. And then when Bruce does eventually go, hey, it's me. You can see Dick's little brain go, oh, like I know what you've been doing the whole time. Now I don't care that you've been running away.
But so the kind of the plot thing going on here is that Gordon's very legal, operating within the bounds of the law SWAT team, has found out that the villains are holed up in the sewers of Gotham. So they're doing they have a warrant, they have a search warrant that's been signed by a judge, and they're doing a legal incursion into these sewers, right? 100%. This is definitely not just them loading up weapons illegal and going for it.
Yeah.
But they run into look at this Batman. Look at it. It's just like almost Spawn-like. His cape is like a Spawn cape.
Tendrils of his cape are going down around the cape, around the grate he's over. Like it's fantastic. I also really love how Batman's trying to be hands off when it's concerning his team that, opened fire on him very recently. But like the way the panels of like Mad Hatter, like, kind of creeping up on Gordon or whatever team, because they pair off, but whatever team they're over. And like, it's just Batman's hand, like wrenching Hatter's like mouth open and his head up and like grab it. And his other hand is like squeezing Hatter's wrist that has a gun in it. And it's just like, and he's just taking villains out left and right while they're like going through the sewer. And it's fucking great.
Yeah, and we get introduced to, we find out that Mr. Freeze is here too, which is cool. Mad Hatter's around. I mean, it's just a good action-packed kind of. It almost reminded me of Aliens. The scene in Aliens when they first go into the hive and all the Marines are they're going through tiny halls, they're getting shot at, and just trying to survive. It kind of almost reminded me. Aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah.
Okay.
The James Cameron. Yeah, Siegel.
I was just making sure I heard you right. Yeah.
Right, but it kind of reminded me of that first scene of they're just like going down these tiny tunnels, being attacked and getting separated, and it was fun. Lopez gets stuck in the ice, but then the sequencing is a little strange here.
I mean, I assume he hit it more than once. You know what I mean? Right?
But it just looks like she gets frozen, and then immediately she's out.
He hits it one time, and then she falls out. It's like it's made of glass.
I don't know. Not that I would even remotely try to understand the physics of shooting a gun and ice just appears out of nowhere. But if you're pulling the moisture out of the air, that ice isn't really incredibly thick, right? I mean,
probably not.
I don't know how that works. A lot can pass between panels. I'm just saying, maybe he hit it more than once. Maybe that was like 5 minutes of him hammering away.
But also, like, how long can you survive frozen in ice?
Not that long, I'd imagine.
Wouldn't you
how long?
Drown?
Well, so how long can you hold your breath, right?
That's
got to be the starting point, right?
And I don't think she was ready. Like, she just got blasted. I don't think she had like a full inhalation of air.
She just did and held it.
Yeah, I think that's one of those. I mean, just like having a kid sidekick, that's one of those things in comics where you just gotta go like, yeah, okay.
So to that point too, Bruce is basically emotionally stunted at like the age of 12. He's not really father material. The guy's got
it's true.
No, he's if anything, he's like older brother.
It's almost as if he was frozen in ice at the age of 12.
I was actually progressed. There's a lot of this that made me think about the Nightwing issues that we had read and that run on Tom Taylor did on Nightwing recently. That just came to a really awesome end, by the way. But like he thinks of Alfred as his father. You know what I mean? Like that's like Alfred left him all that money and like like that like I don't think of the Robins, Dick never really seems to look at Bruce like a father figure. Like he always treats Alfred that way kind of thing. And like it's almost like he's equal to Bruce and they're brothers less than like a younger brother. Sure. But like they're brothers more than like a father and son. And like Bruce never, what's that thing where you take a child and not a ward?
Kidnapping?
No, he never actually
adopts
Dick.
him.
He just like makes him his ward like legally so he can like take care of him legally. But like it has nothing.
Isn't that adoption? What kind of weird legal loophole is he doing here?
Well, it's like you can take care, like you can take legal protection of a child, but like not actually like adopt. I mean, I don't think that's really done anymore.
Can you?
It's an ancient thing, but like, that's why he's his ward. It's not his son. It's not his adopted son. It's like some other legal thing.
So
where,
does Dick have like foster parents outside of Wayne Manor?
No,
who are
no.
technically his parents.
No, that's what the ward does. I'm just saying he like takes care of him in like a legal, like parental status. Like I'm his, like, you know, person that looks after this child.
I don't
but
think
like,
Patrick,
I'm not his legal parent.
Patrick, you're the lawyer. This doesn't sound like real law. Can you just be a ward?
Again, I don't think it's very common anymore. I don't think it.
Parent of a child?
I think you can be a guardian of somebody without being
guardian.
like, I don't know what the exact rights are between being like a guardian of someone versus I think being a guardian is literally you're just making sure that they have money. Like I don't know. The ward is like an old timey legal term.
Yeah, very old timey. You know, like back in the 30s when Batman was.
But yeah, because it's different. Because I remember when Tim Drake when his dad is murdered, Bruce like officially adopts him.
Yeah, and that was like a big deal. Like,
do you think that pissed Dick off? Was Dick like, what the fuck?
No, because again, I think Dick looks at him like equals.
Yeah,
it's like I'm his brother, not his son.
Right. Also, back to Batman Forever. That's really
that actually makes
canonical
more sense.
keystone. Well, Batman Forever is the canonical keystone of the Batman universe, where Alfred was really more Dick's father than Bruce.
Yeah. Again, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, when, like Patty was saying, like when Tim was actually adopted by Bruce, it was like a big deal.
Yeah.
In the comics.
Going back to Batman Forever, the chandelier scene was also a big moment. So Dick being on a chandelier is quite
evocative of Batman Forever. Another cool thing about Batman Forever, Bruce was like 5 years older than Dick. Basically,
that's what I'm saying. That's why you would adopt. That's why you adopt him as your ward and not your son.
Isn't he just like your roommate at that point?
He's 5 minutes from being an adult. I'm just gonna look after him and provide him with like a roof over his head, and then
Joe,
he's a grown up.
My question is, why does a 27-year-old need a legal guardian?
He's not 27. He's like 17.
Chris O'Donnell was like 35 years old. But at that point, you're just roommates, right? You're not really a guardian. You're just roommates. Like, he's just an adult living with you. But, all right. Okay, anyway, we got to get back to Mr. Freeze in the sewer.
All right.
Let's get back to Mr. Freeze in the sewer.
Well, we're worried about Wilcox. Gordon is.
King.
Wilcox?
I like one of them's name is King, and I just love it. Like, King, sound off, King, where are you? I just like that.
Oh, yeah. That does have a different connotation these days.
Yeah.
King and Wilcox are one team. Him and Lopez were the other. And Lopez got frozen, and he left her behind, even because she demanded he not take her up to the surface and keep going. And he's looking for the other team, basically. And then he stumbles upon Wilcox or King. What happened to Wilcox?
We don't know. Do we ever find out what happened to Wilcox?
Oh, she's right. She's getting a gun pointed at her by.
No, that's Lopez. Oh wait, that's not Lopez.
No, Lopez. Lopez is way back.
That is Wilcox.
Yeah,
that is Wilcox.
They're two separate women now. Come on.
I know. I'm so misogynist. I only see women as one woman. I did when I first read this issue. I laughed out loud at. So Jim, the sequencing is Jim finds King hanged, as the final the next hangman victim, and you just see the speech bubble say, "I didn't kill that man," and the next panel is Harvey, who had just said, "I didn't kill that man," with a gun on another person, say like, "I'm innocent," as he has a gun on someone else's head. It's just I laughed at that idea of like, I'm innocent, it's not me, but also I'll kill this woman,
kill this bitch.
Yeah. I just laughed at that. Like,
I love how Two-Face calls him Jimbo all the time.
Jimbo. What's Jimbo? Going back to Patrick, earlier you made the penciling note. Two-Face talks in like a squiggly penciling.
The letterer.
Which is cool. Yeah, the lettering. Yeah, sorry. The lettering.
I'd tell you to the difference when it's Harvey talking and Two-Face talking.
Yeah, man, even it gets subtle too. Because I was looking at All Right, we play it your way for now, and All Right almost looks like it's not, it's Two-Face, but it almost made me think it was Dent and then Two-Face, responding.
Yeah.
I do like how Wilcox is like, shoot him, sir. Don't worry about me. Just immediately, like, damn.
These cops
is this all part of Two-Face's plan to get captured? Or is this...
I don't think so. The way I read it is that he kind of, when they stormed him, he kind of pivoted towards, all right,
so
let's figure this out.
So at this point, Two-Face is pretty certain that Jim is going to shoot him in the face if he doesn't. The standoff right here.
I believe so.
It's a close-up of each one of their eyes, and then Two-Face looks right at Jim, and Jim is like stone cold with the gun. And Two-Face drops his weapons.
I believe.
I don't know. It depends on how, like, so in the courtroom scene later, and all the villains burst in. Was that planned?
That's what I'm saying. Was this
I
part
think
of
it was?
Well, I think that was the pivot from this point on. That was the pivot.
Well, I don't know, because like it seems like once he got all of his files back that were in the courtroom, which is kind of what they were going after, even though they kind of made it look like a bunch of different things were happening at the same time. That's
I guess
I take it back. I take it back.
He gets rid of Porter.
Yeah, I think you two are right. I take it back because again, the whole point was he wanted to get his files back.
Yeah,
to figure out who Hangman was.
He's getting caught on purpose.
Yeah, so I think you two are right. This was part of the plan.
Does he think of it as personal property, or is it his way of trying to figure out who the Hangman is?
Because both, like, get his files to help get to Hangman. But I think to your points, well, okay, so Patrick, let's talk about it. I think generally him getting caught and doing the trial and all that was part of the plan. This specific showdown with Jim, I don't know if this was planned or not.
Yeah, it's not like he knew they were coming up.
It does seem like Jim was going to shoot him, and Two-Face backed off. Like, all right.
Well, because it probably wasn't part of his plan for Sophia to be down there hanging people, right? Like,
no,
Two-Face.
I don't think that was the plan. Yeah.
That's another thing. There's so many times when that happens, and you're like, Batman's down there, Gordon's down there, Two-Face is down there, all the villains are down there, the cops are down there, and she gets down there, hangs somebody, and then like gets away, and Two-Face is like right there. I mean, like, there's so many times where if you go back and look, you're like, how the fuck did she get from that spot to this spot? And just be like, I was in my wheelchair the whole time.
Joe, you're not the first person to discount Sophia and her abilities.
That's true. That's true.
To wrap this issue up, Robin goes at the Haley Circus to get revenge. Another art note I wanted to make is like, what the like the way Batman is smothering this man and just like growling into his ear and threatening is.
I love that.
I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm saying it's super like animalistic.
So what's going on? So more of Zuko's guys after that are still roughing up the circus? Is that what's happening?
Yeah,
Mr. Zuko has to come out here again. Yeah.
He's refusing to like transport the drugs or whatever for him, money. But this is kind of where there's something about Robin with the slingshot and the all black that reminds me of it. Like if you were to show that image to me and ask me which Robin that is, I would have gone with Jason Todd. There's something. I mean, I guess he's very angry right now because his parents.
His parents just died. Yeah.
I've just never really seen this side to Dick, especially young Dick.
You mean just like the rage?
Side
of it, or
the rage, but also the composure. He's very composed for. Like he's obviously
that's
pissed.
What I'm saying. That's kind of what I was saying earlier about them being like brothers. It's not like even though he's a kid, like maybe it's like growing up in the situation he's grown up with. He kind of has more of a worldly like feel about he's very mature, for like whatever 11-ish years old he is or whatever. Like he doesn't seem like he's a child. He seems like he's more like a 17-year-old, like a Chris O'Donnell type. But he just seems like more of an equal, even when Bruce is like, because to Patrick, your point, like Bruce is a 12-year-old child masquerading as an adult. Yeah. He's kind of like on the same maturity level as Bruce, because Bruce is just like, since the age of 12.
Yeah, he's stunted.
Has been Batman. He's been stunted and he's like been training and he's a lunatic at this point. So when Dick came into the story, I feel like Bruce just goes, hey, we're buddies, right? And he's like, yeah. And you're like, oh, all right.
Going back to the circus part again, I just love this panel where he is like he's almost melding into this man's face and just growling in his ear.
I think it's
the circus is
emphasizing like the strength with which he's shoving that man's head into the ground.
Yeah, just the animalistic, like I don't know how to describe it, like an alpha flex of just like I dominate you and just.
Well,
like,
also what he's getting across is like
is.
Not just he's to his point, or to what Bruce is doing here, I think, which is clever, sort of. He's not making it about the kid he just saved. He's like, this circus is like under my protection. Like, tell everyone to fuck off. Like, I will hunt you down, kind of thing. And he's like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And one final art note I wanted to make about this issue is, so this is where Tim finds out. Dick finds out that Bruce is Batman. And just the way, again, back to Tim Sale, this panel here where he has the cowl on, right?
Yeah.
Is his mouth is like the same position as it is here in both panels, but with the cowl off and his eyes revealed, it's just the vulnerability that he shows in this panel as opposed to the kind of scariness guard up that it looks like with the cowl. I love that contrast that Tim Sale puts up, because the bottom half of the face is the same kind of scowl shape, but it's just revealing the eyes reveals the kind of the vulnerability and emotional openness that Bruce is revealing to Dick in the moment. So I loved that juxtaposition there.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. There's something I want to talk to you about that's more thematic, I guess, but him revealing himself to Dick. And granted, it's within the book, it's been like a couple of months because it's 2 issues. So it's been at least 2 months, basically, since he took Dick in. But that's relatively quick for him to be like, hey, I'm Bruce Wayne, and I love that in the piece of this story, because it's based on the fact that like he didn't tell Harvey who he was and he regrets that.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I just really love that, because it makes him revealing himself to Robin less insane, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah. It also, to your point in the last episode about training Dick, like Dick almost got himself killed a few times now. So it is kind of like, I'm going to train you so you don't kill yourself. But yeah.
And you can tell Dick, it's through the next few issues, you can tell Dick's getting frustrated because he's like, train. And he's like, train some more. And he's like, can I help? And he's like, no, get out of here. Train some more. And it's like he accepted it, but he's also kind of like, you're not ready, kid. Like, you're a kid.
Yeah.
Get her back over there and keep training. I trained for 8 years before I did this. Like, you're not ready. But at the same time, obviously he does accept that eventually. But like, I like he's resistant. He's folding him in, but at the same time, he's like, you're over here for a while at least. Like, I'm not gonna let you do everything with me right now.
Also, at the end of this issue, if there's one thing we talk about on Mobius Couch, it's Daddy by James.
Oh,
little
Daddy
Jim
by
Gordon's bulletin board, Daddy.
We mentioned that in the last episode, but like, I really do love all those end panels, I guess, back covers, I guess, like those
also,
are
can we talk about Daddy by James? It's him holding a gun.
He's a cop. His son knows who he is.
There are so many dimensions in which that's problematic, but Daddy by James is just him holding a fucking gun. I think that's messed up. James should see a child therapist.
James becomes a psycho killer.
Wait, who does he become?
Spoilers for DC Comics in general.
Does he have a villain
James
name?
Is not healthy. Yeah, he's fucked up later.
But is this so? Timeout. Can we do a DC? Just timeout. DC Comics note. Yeah. I always thought Jim Gordon was married to Babs Gordon, and they had Babs Gordon, the daughter, who was Batgirl. No. Who's the? He also has a son
that was
named James?
Truncated for the cartoon. You're mixing cartoon and comic.
So what's the comic
Babs
Jim Gordon family?
Barbara Batgirl is his niece. Barbara is his wife. Yeah.
What?
I literally never knew that.
Barbara's not his daughter?
No.
Wow.
Or it's a daughter by another mother?
So Barbara is not Barbara's daughter.
Wait, now I think I'm mixing up Batman 66 with comics.
No, because in the Killing Joke, Barbara is definitely his daughter.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, it's his daughter. You're right. It's his daughter.
It's his daughter. But
yeah,
he
I think
also
I'm
has
really
a son
mixing up
named
Batman
Jim.
66. Huh?
He also has a son named Jim.
Yeah, James is real. It's a kid in the comics.
Jim and Barbara Gordon had 2 children named Jim and Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's weird.
I think it doesn't matter because DC's continuity is all fucked. But
that's true.
There was a timeline in post-crisis continuity where Barbara is Jim Gordon's niece, adopted daughter.
That's what I think I'm remembering. Oh, adopted daughter. That's
okay. So it's his niece that he adopted, or they're separate things.
Yeah,
or adopted.
I think that's what I'm remembering. Yeah,
his niece.
But that's not the case anymore, right? They're both like her and James are brother and sister currently, right?
I don't know anything about
the stories
James.
that deal with James being like a crazy killer. Like he's obviously like their sister and brother. Like that's the relationship they have. But maybe it's still maybe
it's adopted maybe
daughter
still.
Though.
Wikipedia says that's her brother.
Okay.
I'm assuming she probably was the niece,
so
and then maybe like after Infinite Crisis, they made her just the daughter just to keep it.
Maybe. I wonder when that changed. Because I feel like the second Al said no, that's not true, and I was like, shit, you're right, it did change. But I knew my memory was like decent. Like I was like, I remember her being
okay. So James Worthington Gordon Jr., also known as J.J. Gordon, is the psychopathic son of Gotham Police Commissioner James Gordon and his first wife, Barbara Eileen Gordon.
That's the best of my knowledge right there concerning James. I never actually read any of the stories where he's crazy and kills people. I just knew that it happened. Who's his second wife? Is it
So after Flashpoint, Babs became the daughter of Jim and Babs.
Is it that recent?
It says she is the mother of James Gordon Jr. and
so it's like New
Flashpoint, Barbara Gordon.
Oh, so all right. Well, that makes me feel a little better. So that's pretty New 52, although old as fuck at this point, is relatively recent in terms of my comic book knowledge. So like,
wow,
her being his niece / adopted daughter was always kind of in my head, I think.
Okay, so historically, Batgirl was Jim's niece, not actual. Wow. Okay,
that's wild. Okay. Which again, if I'm not mistaken, is how they did it in the '66 show. Not that matters at all, but like I think that's where most of that's coming from.
Okay,
in my head.
Unreal.
I didn't know it was that. So it's New 52.
According to that, it was Flashpoint was reset as she was the biological
started
daughter.
New 52.
Well, that's what I mean. But yeah, according to that, that's when she became the daughter. Okay.
Huh. I wonder how they handle it now. I assume they just go, yeah, it's his daughter.
Now she's his sister and his daughter.
Sister and his daughter.
Just
classic
like
Joker joke.
Yeah, classic Joker.
Right.
Okay, I know all we've made is art notes. This is maybe my favorite panel in the entire comic. It's just so perfect. So this is the first page of this issue.
Of issue 11, yeah.
Two-Face in jail, and it's the jail bars dividing his face. The way his black part of his suit melds into the shadow. This is just like perfect Two-Face drawing right here. Tim Sale, Chef's Kiss. I love that.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's really good.
I just love that page.
I don't know if it's my favorite panel, but you're not wrong. It's fantastic.
It's just wonderful. Love that.
This is a meeting between Two-Face and Janice, and they're just like, "Hey, why do I keep calling her Janice? Her name's Porter. That's what we all call her."
Porter. Yeah.
Porter and Two-Face are like, "The continuance is tomorrow. We need to be in court." Blah blah blah. Kind of thing. She's basically like, "I'm gonna prosecute you. Are you sure you want to represent yourself?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got it."
So she's out of the loop at this point, right? Like she doesn't.
I don't think she's been on the plan to explode steal documents. I don't think she's done on that.
He's clearly turned off by her at this point because she's fangirling out about how she believes in Harvey Dent, and he tells her that she's sounding too much like Gilda.
I think we mentioned this earlier, but like her relationship is really with Harvey, not Two-Face.
Not Two-Face.
And right now, Two-Face is sort of in control.
Really?
And
Do you think so? Because Two-Face has been in control since they broke out of Arkham in the beginning, which we kind of pointed out in the last episode.
Right, but if you go back to the panels where that shows them together, I mean, her relationship is with Harvey, not Two-Face.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think she sees that. Maybe that's the clever distinction they're making. I don't think she sees the distinction between Harvey and Two-Face. Like she just thinks it's him talking to her the whole time. I mean, he literally says, "Just be sure you bring every shred of evidence you have on the Hangman. You're going to need it." As in, I wanted. I mean, you're gonna need it, not for any other reason.
Yeah, so I'm not certain she sees them as the same. I think her hope is that Harvey is in there.
Okay.
In that, maybe in some future date, Harvey is just going to be back, and it's Harvey. You know, I don't know if she specifically sees them as Two-Face isn't real. You're just Harvey.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure what level of wishful thinking or rationalization is going on, but I do like how the way he draws them together. You know, Porter is very kind of, again, suggestively positioned there, and it's again the art. Tim Sale kind of visually hinting at the plot twist of the like their, you know, that kind of dramatic irony of like we know they're together, and that's going on.
Right.
This issue is weird because it kind of splits up the Two-Face trial. So Batman and Robin are kind of doing a different thing of like handling Robin's shit while the Two-Face trial is going on.
Right.
Kind of separately. So it's sort of a weirdly constructed
Batman
issue.
is hunting down Zuko while Robin trains. You know, that's this issue.
Also, speaking of Zuko's, time out. Zuko famously had half his face burned off by his father in an Agni Kai, and look at this Zuko getting his face burned off.
That's not Zuko. That's not Maroni. That's one of the Maroni kids.
I'm just saying, Zuko's get half their face burned off. Look, time out. Let's talk about this.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Two-Face, half a face. Zuko, half a face.
Zuko doesn't have a face. What are you talking
Agni
about?
Kai, Zuko, Maroni. What are the connections here? There's dots to connect.
Well, not Zuko, because you keep saying it, and it's not who we're talking about.
Zuko's killed the Graysons. Zuko's failed the Agni Kai against their father. Zuko's got half their face burned off. Two-Face, Harvey Dent. It's all connected.
You're mixing up Zuko and Maroni like left and right.
It's all connected. They're all
To
related, bro.
each other very simply.
Patrick knows what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that there's dots to connect is all I'm saying. I'm just asking questions.
Batman is strong-arming the Maronis to get Zuko, who is not who you're talking about, to help Robin, you know, confront/hunt down the killer of his parents, which is really kind of fucked up. Also, all right, brief interlude. Alberto's going crazy. Someone's talking to him. He thinks it's his dead father. He goes in to kill Sophia as Holiday. Like, he's got the trench coat on and everything. And I fucking love this brief little thing. But again, talking about art style, they do the full-on black and white for the Holiday killing with just a splash of color, like in his glasses. And it's the only time you see it this entire fucking book, because it's the only time that Holiday is doing anything in this. But I love that it's in color, and then it shifts to black and white, and then he like decides not to shoot her, and he puts the gun away. Like, and just such a weirdly distinct moment that you just threw into this episode or issue of this book that like goes away.
It's also so going back to how Long Halloween and this are all building off of Frank Miller's Batman Year One. This little exchange here with the black and white and just the purple glasses colored in the black and white, that's all very Sin City, which is another Frank Miller property.
Well, I mean, that's how they handled the Holiday killings in the first series. You know,
but I just mean it's
the Holiday killings would be black and white, and then there'd be like a purple pumpkin left behind, or
but I just mean it's all kind of aesthetically
it's
connected.
That's true.
That was cool. Back to another point. Remember that earlier circus thing where I mentioned that panel of Batman like on a guy, like growling into his ear. In this too, he's just dry mounting a dude and just the same thing, like just shoving him.
You know what? In that panel, it's almost real. It's almost okay. Flip to what's the one right before that? He has the guy's head on the burner, and it's like in the fire. I was like, holy shit. I was like, how is his head not on fire? And then the next page, it's like from a different perspective, and it's a little further away. And I was like, oh, okay, well that kind of makes sense.
I just like the detail
But
of
like
so
for one
he's-
second, I was like, how did that guy not burst into flames?
But I also like the detail. He's just like dry mounting, smothering this guy, but then with his little fingers, he's turning on the burner. It's a weird, like he's just daintily turning on the burner of this. It's just
He's
unreal.
gonna move to the next one in a second. Just you wait.
Yeah,
Kind of wild because Batman must weigh like 300 pounds to have your entire body
His
on top of
knee
that
is
guy's
crushing
head on
into your
top.
back. Yeah, fuck, dude. Come on.
Well, you could. I mean, if you had like a 300-pound weighted pack, you could probably like deadlift out of that, right?
I don't think so.
No,
I think you could.
No.
Bent
I
over
definitely
a
could.
grill
I mean,
like
I
that?
know that I definitely could because
You absolutely could.
All of his muscles are flexed, and he's shoving that guy's face into the.
For the audio listeners, I was winking. You can, Al.
You can, but it's not
Yeah, you
just
can,
about
you could.
strength, Patrick. It's about technique. If you use your whole body, if you really focus on your glutes and your lower back, use your whole body, you can deadlift out of that with 300 pounds on you.
There's no way.
Can you? Anyway,
There's no
Robin and Batman hunt down Zuko, and he has a heart attack, and it's kind of adorable.
It's hilarious because Zuko starts having the heart attack, and he says, "Please keep me alive. Please keep me alive." And
He's like,
Batman
can't
says,
breathe. Batman just goes, there's an ambulance coming. There's an ambulance coming.
There is.
What does that sound like in your head?
Well, that's what.
Tell me where the other trucks are coming from.
In that voice is how I read it because he says, "Promise, keep me alive," and Batman says, "I'll do what I can." And then literally 2 seconds later, he just goes, "He's dead."
He's dead.
Yeah, well, he did what he could. I mean, he did what he could. He mentions like the Maronis don't work for the Falcons. They're not just brothers; they're twins. And again, like Two-Face is two people. I just like the.
Well, how did that? What was the relationship there? They were giving information to Two-Face on the crime families. Okay.
On the families, yeah. They were betraying to their crime families, right?
I feel like that led into nothing, though. Like, I didn't.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it sort of did lead into nothing, but
I don't know. There's a lot of these storylines that kind of. I don't really remember how the pieces fit together, but.
And I love this panel of. I just laughed. It's Batman kind of moving Robin like away as if to kind of protect him from the sight of a dead man, and it's like you just turned this kid into a vigilante who murdered a human. So like it's nice that now you're acting precious about like don't look young Robin, but like you just both killed a man.
I mean, so the narration through the scene is that Bruce is thinking about what it would be like to confront his own parents' killers, though, which is dark as fuck.
You mean
he's
Joe
like,
Chill?
I would move in closer. His face would be filled with fear like mine was when he pointed the gun at me after shooting my parents. And then like he's letting Robin do that. And it's not until he's like, oh shit, there's something actually going on, that he moves in and goes, there's an ambulance coming. And then he's like, oh, he's dead. But like at that point when he actually dies, he's like, okay, fuck, this went too far.
Well, I do like in that dialogue you mentioned, in the kind of internal monologue, he makes the point of I always woke up before the dream ended, and but now it's like
that's his dream.
The dream didn't end. Yeah. He's just the man's dead now, and it is kind of a shocking.
And then, well, the last part is like, and to this day, I have yet to find my parents' killer. As in, like, if he had been given that opportunity, would he have done the same thing? I don't know. I really liked it. It was fucked up what they were doing, but like,
yeah. Also, he knows who the killer was.
It was going to like fall over and get a heart attack.
Yeah, and also the killer was Joe Chill / the Joker before Chemicals /
No, it's never the Joker.
Who? Well, in Batman '89, it was the Joker.
Well, yeah, that's horrible misinterpretation of the text.
It was lots of different people killed the Waynes. They've died millions of times on screen and comics.
It's Joe Chill every time.
Joe Chill.
Or Jack.
No, I think in Absolute Batman, it's
my number one guy.
I forgot who. Never mind. I forgot who killed him. Who killed him in Absolute Batman? Forgot.
Have I read it?
I know.
I thought it was.
Go ahead.
I thought it was just like a shooter at the zoo, right?
I think it was. I'm confusing it because Absolute Batman did the thing that the Batman did, where Thomas Wayne like saved a criminal's life before he died.
Oh, maybe I need to reread that then. I guess where I get confused again is like, why is Porter like, why does Two-Face have the Maroney twins giving him intel on the crime families, and then there's also Mario giving Porter intel on the crime families to give to Two-Face? Is that was I don't know. It just seemed like a lot of unnecessary backstabbing secrets.
Yeah, Patrick. So I don't know if I'm giving Loeb too much credit. The way I always read it as Two-Face and Harvey are literally two different people.
I see. Okay.
They are not working together. They don't know each other. They don't read each other's minds. Like, they are literally two separate people inhabiting the same body.
Yeah,
so that's why Two-Face is working the Maroni's.
Is on Harvey's side. Two-Face has the Maroney brothers feeding him information.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So, and I don't know if I'm, I could be wrong, but just Pat, the way I was reading that is that they are, like, in a literal sense, split people. They don't share memories or a brain or whatever.
I've read this 3 times now, and I'm still not 100% clear on who's working for who and whatever.
It might also just be Loeb making like an overly convoluted thriller plot.
Yeah,
and not
that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, but generally, I just think you can't assume that Two-Face and Harvey know what each other knows, so that Harvey and Porter are a separate org
thing
working from Two-Face is
on that note. They're in the trial scene. Before we really get into it, there's something that I fucking love right at the beginning, and it's basically like Two-Face telling the judge and Porter that he is Two-Face and not Harvey Dent, so he can't, whatever, swear to tell the whole truth because he's not Harvey Dent, and he's just like, oh, I'm not Harvey, I'm Two-Face. There's a shot of him putting his gloved hand on the Bible, and he's like, no, fuck you, I can't do, he's like, and why is that, Mr. I'm not Harvey Dent. Then who are you? My name is Two-Face. And he's like, Your Honor, if this witness is not mentally competent to discern his own identity, then I must renew my objection to having Mr. Dent represent himself. And then the judge is like, she's right, you can't have it both ways. And he flips a coin and literally goes, I swear, in the Harvey Dent text.
Yeah, he switches to Harvey Dent.
His normal hand on the Bible, and swear. And I love that, like, little just, oh, I can't do that? Okay, hold on. Bing. Why are they letting him flip a coin in the middle of fucking court proceeding? I don't know. But whatever. Like, he's just going, he flips the coin and he's like, I'm Harvey Dent now, and I can swear to this. And then meanwhile, when everything happens, like, he almost gets taken down underground, not against his will, because it's kind of Two-Face already again, but like, it happens so quick. It's like, I feel like the reason Two-Face was okay with Harvey Dent swearing on the Bible and being like, yeah, I got it, was just to he only relinquished control for like a second, and then it's already back to Two-Face. It's crazy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I don't want to over harp on this or whatever, but I just want to say, Joe, this whole part I thought was brilliant because, again, it's, they're saying swear, Harvey Dent swear to, tell nothing but the truth. And in the Two-Face font, he just says like, well, I'm not Harvey Dent.
He's like, I can't answer that question because I'm. Why is that, Mr. Dent? Because I'm not Harvey Dent.
Yeah,
like, he very clearly says it.
But then it's amazing because then Porter's point is like, well, then if you're not Harvey Dent, you're literally not representing yourself because you're not Harvey Dent representing yourself. So I just love the legal play there. But then then he flips the coin, and then in Harvey Dent font, you can see that he does switch back to Harvey Dent is in control now, and he swears it's Harvey. So but I love all that. The
questions that come after that, it's Harvey the whole time. And then she's basically like, I'm not on trial here, Mr. Dent. And he's like, oh. And then Two-Face says, what time is it? It just comes out of nowhere. Like, it just switches back to Two-Face, and that's when everything blows up. But and she's like, it's just about 2:00. Why? And I'm like, fucking.
I love it. I move for a recess.
The little subtleties of the flipping between Dent and Two-Face in this scene specifically, I think, are done very well.
Yeah. I love Ivy's pose of just like a.
I was about to say,
I'm here.
She's really enjoying herself.
She's out.
She's fucking a fairy princess. Look at her. Tim Sale's artwork of her being like not having red hair and just having Ivy and just kind of being one amongst all the leaves, like just living among them. That's, to my knowledge, is kind of like the first instance of that. Like this book, and also obviously Long Halloween, and maybe I guess a little bit in there were some preceding Halloween or one-offs before this all came out that Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb did. By the way, we should read those someday.
So, as they're escaping, Ivy kisses Two-Face and says, no man can resist me, but then he does. Why do you think that's because he's two men and not a man, or why do you think he's able to resist her?
I think it has something to do with that whole like duality where he's got too many voices in his head where it's too hard for her to control, like control over his mind because his mind is so fractured.
Yeah, because her exact line in bold letters is "No one bold can resist me."
That's true.
And so I always read that. Well, I guess because he's two, I guess that's
I'm sure that's what that's meant to be.
He can resist, yeah.
But then the final panel, Glinda's. I don't know if Harvey loves Glinda and Two-Face hates her. Is that like the deal?
So I didn't understand the Glinda relationship because Harvey.
They both love her.
Well, but also Harvey's actively having an affair with Porter at this time.
Right.
So this whole like I love Glinda. I didn't understand the Glinda relationship. I really didn't get that.
You can also read it that he's still so in love with Glinda that Ivy's the way that Glinda's portrait.
That's kind of how I read it. Yeah.
Right there kind of implies that. But
he's currently sleeping with Porter.
His resistance is what Al is saying, I think. Like that he's two fractured brains and can't.
Yeah, I think it could be either way, maybe.
But to your point though, Pat, I don't get the Glinda relationship because he's actively sleeping with Porter right now.
I think it's because he can't find Glinda, right? I don't know. Porter is obviously threatened by Glinda because she was trying to get the tea on her from
100%. She's trying to figure out like, where is this bitch? How do I get rid of her? But
where is this bitch? Has she been around lately? I'm just checking.
But I just mean, to me, it's weird. It's a weird like setup that his love for Glinda protects him from poison ivy, but he's also not faithful to Glinda.
Poison ivy? Like the Thurketh?
The Thurketh? Poison ivy? Poison ivy at the Thurketh? No, but I just mean it's weird that it would be his love for Glinda that saves him from poison ivy, but then he's also like cheating on her actively.
But I think maybe it's the fact that Ivy's toxin like makes you fall in love with her. As opposed to just like Porter was.
Just the physical. I see what you mean.
Like I don't know.
I see what you mean.
Porter is being used by Two-Face, but is she being used by Dent? Is the question. Like I don't know. Like that's the part where I'm like I don't know. When did that relationship start?
No, she's being used by Dent. I mean, from the beginning, Dent was her law school professor. Like this is the power harassment. No. Not healthy relationship.
She's talking to just Harvey Dent. And that Two-Face isn't a separate thing. And Two-Face has just been fucking with her the whole time, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, we'd have to look back at like those scenes where they're in the bedroom together. So, like,
that's Two-Face talking, man.
It was Two-Face?
That's like,
okay.
Hey, Porter, like, what the fuck? You know, like, it's the gritty voice, like, it's the change in, you know, like, every time.
Yeah, so I think it is Two-Face. Yeah, right. So it's probably Two-Face making her think, well, this is just Harvey, don't worry, but...
For instance... In this poison ivy scene that we're talking about with them kissing, she's like, I like that kind of man, I like you, and she kisses him, and Two-Face says, get out of here, and she says, but no one can resist me, and it's clearly Harvey Dent dialogue that says go to hell, as in I love this woman, like you can fuck the fuck off. I don't think Dent is involved with Porter like almost at all. I mean, we could go back and analyze it, and I did not do that, unfortunately. But like, I'm pretty sure
we've got to go back.
Time out. Porter the whole time, man.
Time out. We've got to go back. Let's confirm this. We've got to go back because this goes back to the earlier discussion. This would put a hole in our theory that Dent was working with Porter and Two-Face was working with the Maronis. This whole time.
Well, that just...
Let me try to find that panel.
If that's the plot hole, though, like, that's not a big deal. That just means he has Porter and the Maronis. Porter being the cops and stuff, and the law side of it, and the Maroney brothers being, like, the like mob boss part of it. Like he's getting information from two different sources. Although Porter is corrupt technically and like on his side, she's giving him information from like the law side of things, and they're giving him information from the mob boss side of things. I think it makes sense completely. It's still just Two-Face though.
Okay, so going back to older panels, the first scene where we've seen Porter kind of start disrobing, like taking her shit off in a hotel room, it is Two-Face's voice that says, "That's my girl, Porter. That's my girl."
Oh, shit.
That's what I'm saying, man. I think
it is Two-Face font. So I think Joe's
like,
right.
I don't think Harvey would ever break with Glinda, like at all.
Joe, I think you're right. I misread this. I think you're right. It's Harvey has been loyal to Glinda, and Two-Face is playing on Porter's love for Harvey.
Yeah,
pretending to.
Oh yeah, he definitely know. Two-Face being definitely knows what he's doing when he's like stringing her along. But that's not like Harvey Dent doing that. You know, that's Two-Face doing that.
To summarize, Joe's right. Harvey is loyal to Glinda. Two-Face is playing Porter as Harvey.
Right, but the reason Two-Face would have her and the Maroney brothers is because the information's coming from the criminal element and the law side of the elements, and he's getting information from both sides.
Yeah, he's getting both sides. Right.
Yeah.
He's collecting both sides of the.
He's getting two sides of the information.
Well, I guess also like he really needed a lot of information from the Falcones because he gutted their entire house to put Calendar Man in there. So I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
So that's where Porter comes in, because like her getting him Alberto released in the first place, like, and getting him like house arrested in a certain spot was obviously like Two-Face wanting to get him there, you know?
Yeah.
Let's go to the next issue. All right. I'm glad we talked that through, because that's something that I honestly, reading through it the first time, I misunderstood. I just thought it was kind of like Harvey.
You know what,
Porter,
though? That's what this show's all about, Al.
Yep.
You know, that's what we do on the Mobius Couch.
I want to make a point that this episode, Jim's bulletin board is a lot of stuff's gone, but Daddy by James is still there. Daddy with his gun.
Daddy by James is still there. A lot of the stuff's gone because all the evidence was stolen.
Yes, right. But Daddy by James is still there. So now let's talk about it, because Pat, this is something we both mentioned earlier. The way Porter's arc just fizzles out into like, is this really it?
Yeah.
Like, what is, so she goes to meet Harvey.
She's kidnapped, right?
Do you notice what she says though? Harvey, is that you? And then no, it's Joker and Scarecrow. And then what else happens? They take her down there and he's like, I've done what I needed to do. I've used you for what I needed to use you for, and I'm done now.
And he shoots her.
Not a single time is that Harvey talking.
No, to your point, like, you were right, Joe. It's always been Two-Face. But still, I do think the comments Patrick and I have made are also fair, that Porter's arc just really fizzles out, and like literally that she just gets shot. That's it. We're done. She's murdered right here.
So the only part of that I think, so I don't think she fizzles out. I think Two-Face is like, and I'm done here. And you've served your purpose. You've gotten as far as you are useful, and fuck it. Does he enlist her before the files are stolen in the first place? That's the part where I'm not 100% on. You know, like as the mystery is unfolded, now that you can go back and go like all that weird shit with her and Jim in the beginning, like before the files are stolen, like is she on his quote unquote side before that? Because like, why would she?
I think so.
No, she's always been on Two-Face's side.
I think they weren't ready for Sophia and the Hangman. Like, I forget how the files get stolen, how the evidence gets stolen, but it had something to do with getting Alberto out and all that stuff, right? It happened around that time. So
yeah,
I think she kind of fucked up when Sophia was able to get all that evidence from her.
But I just mean, for a character that, you know, I guess it's not quite 14, like for 12 issues, has been a robust character that we've really examined and had relationship with Batman and Jim Gordon and this and that. Just for it to end on, issue 12 of 14 or whatever, she just gets shot.
Think of it from Two-Face's perspective, though, like in terms of like her usefulness to him. I
get that part. I understand.
Well, all I'm saying is, hold on. There's there's a part of it that's like, I need her for this. And then like once the files are stolen, he might go, okay, well now I need her for that and this. And like maybe that extended her life and thus her, story through this arc, like more importantly than it should have, maybe. All I'm saying is like, I think Two-Face going like, and I'm done here, and like shooting her makes complete sense. Also at this point, even though he's still trying to figure out who the Hangman is because he doesn't know, he's still trying to do, well, number one, he's trying to do what he was been trying to do the entire time, take out the mafia. That's all he's been trying to do. And then two, it's convenient to lay her body at the feet of Alberto and fuck everything up even more, like as he does.
Well,
like,
so
like there's reasons. I don't like.
I don't disagree. I get that there's plot reasons why Two-Face would murder her there. I just mean from a character construction standpoint, it's just very sudden to go from this is the main character we're following who has like a strong arc, different motivations, stands up to Batman, and it's just we're done. Also, I do want to talk about like from a visual perspective.
I mean, plot wise, this is when this needs to be sewn up.
Right.
I would say.
But also from a visual perspective,
yeah,
the way she died, I found this kind of uncomfortable / horrifying because Joker and Scarecrow.
Yeah.
So Joker and Scarecrow take her to Harvey, and as we mentioned, Tim Sale draws Joker and Scarecrow as like non-human figures. They're monsters. Yeah. So there's these two literal monster-looking dudes holding this woman that Two-Face just shoots in the chest and murders, and they're just holding her limp dead body. This was a terrifying sequence of pages to me. Like I found this really disturbing. It was horrifying to me.
There might be like subtle psychological aspect of that, being like she keeps saying Harvey over and over again at this point, and he might just be like, "Fuck." Like, yeah, I don't mean like you know what I mean. Not that that's a plan necessarily that Loeb had, but like she's like, he's like, "Shut up, Joker," and he's like, "Not this time, Harv. I think I'll keep your little girlfriend around. Think of her as my get out of jail free card." And she's like, "No, tell them, Harvey. Tell them that I love you and you love." And then he's like, "Blam," and and it's just like maybe she called him Harvey too many times. You know what I mean? Like as fucked up as that is, like like that's what Two-Face fucking does. Like I don't know.
Well, also just the idea that these two other criminals were going to use her against him, and he's just
boop, yeah. And then he's like, "Well, I'm going to use her. I'm going to use her dead body in another way, and here's how." But like he also says, Harvey Dent's a married man, Porter. Don't ever forget that. Like he cares. I don't know. That line is actually confusing because it's Two-Face saying that, so you're like, well,
I think he's just like saying that she's stupid for falling in love with Harvey.
To have believed that Harvey was right.
Now that I see how much work they did with distinguishing the two personalities of Two-Face and Harvey, I was complaining earlier about how Porter is like this really strong character, and then she switches to this really kind of pathetic character, but I guess it's in line with that duality of like she's two completely different people. Like Harvey, like Two-Face brings out this other side of her that is kind of just sad,
like schoolgirl,
like she's just so
relationship crush kind of thing. Yeah,
she's so different from what she's like around Batman and Jim and everyone else, and then when she's with him, she becomes like a completely different, like almost like the women in Batman Forever with Drew Barrymore.
The angel girl and the devil girl.
That's lunatic. Yeah.
Another point I wanted to make too is that
the amount of times Batman Forever has come up in
the other thing too is as readers,
analysis of this very serious and amazing comic book is hilarious.
Batman Forever, we all agree Batman Forever is the keystone of the Batman universe.
Yeah.
But the other thing is as readers, like we mentioned, we get different font for Two-Face and Dent. So like to us it's clear like who's talking. But I guess within the world, maybe they're not vocally that different. So, Porter might actually confuse, like, well, maybe I'm talking to Harvey right now.
For sure.
She really might not realize that this is Two-Face. But as we mentioned earlier, the main point Jeph Loeb is going, they are two separate, they're not one person who's like, sometimes I'm Two-Face, sometimes Harvey. They are two different people.
Yeah.
In this body. Yeah.
I think that's an aspect that you glean after reading this book and Long Halloween, but until you know that how they're going to handle those two characters, so to speak, and then go back and reread it, like you're not picking up on those because it's very subtle, especially like the. I mean, I know I just said it, but the courtroom scene of like flipping the coin and it's Harvey that swears that he'll tell the truth, and it's not Two-Face. Like unless you're really paying attention to who's talking, like. And you know, like how they're going to handle those characters as two separate people. Like your analysis of like what's going on in these books is going to get convoluted because they're thinking clearly. Jeph Loeb is thinking of them as two different characters, and unless you realize that ahead of time, like it's going to get very confusing. You're like,
and especially, I mean,
do that, and why did Harvey do that?
You know? And he got, again, both Patrick and I kind of missed on some of that, and we both have postgraduate degrees, so we're clearly geniuses, and we missed on it. So that's one.
My postgraduate degree is the Long Halloween
in Two-Faceology. I do. So another point, I know we just talked about like how I didn't like how Porter's thing kind of fizzled out and she got murdered. I do love just how Two-Face as the criminal is displayed, and that he's basically just maneuvering all these insane Batman villains to do his bidding. It's really well done. He is such a good villain.
And as Patty was saying, we don't really get solid motivation from all of them, but at the same time, like if you read between the lines, it's kind of there, or if you know enough about why they got on board with him in the first fucking place in Long Halloween, it kind of carries over to this book. And like, I don't know, there's like the one scene where Freeze mentions money, for instance. Like, I feel like Joker says something too about like, hey, when are you going to pay us all that money you promised or something? It's not just Freeze, I think. I feel like Joker says something at that point, but I could be wrong. And anyway, I really love the subtle, I don't know, manipulation that Two-Face is doing. Not just the villains, but just to Porter and like fucking everybody, really. Like every time he interacts with Jim and Batman, he's doing the same shit. It's like it's either Dent talking or Two-Face talking, and you don't know. And like Batman's like, Two-Face, who else was up on this rooftop with us? And he's like, go to hell. Like, but it's clearly Two-Face's dialogue, and you're like, fuck, goddamn, Two-Face is just fucking with Batman because he doesn't give a fuck about Batman at all. But Harvey Dent was his friend, so it's like if Harvey Dent had said go to hell, it would have meant something different, kind of thing.
And as we go forward in this issue, we get a lot of reveals. So after Porter sadly dies.
Yeah.
We then find out through, Batman and Jim talking in his office that Porter was a law school student while Harvey Dent was the visiting professor or like some kind of young professor at the school. And that's how she met him, and she was kind of smitten by him. And so that,
so
I
funny,
guess that's what Two-Face was preying
to your
upon.
point earlier, Al, like you brought up like, or maybe Patty, I don't remember. But one of you guys said something about like their relationship, or like, oh, Alberto was here, like obviously Batman had looked into it is the point, but he didn't put together that Dent was there as a professor. Like he analyzed the students, but he didn't pay attention to the professors, kind of thing.
Well, this goes back to, I think in the first half, Alfred makes the comment of, Batman, like you're so personally involved with everything going on. You're not sharp right now. You're losing details. You're overworked. You're stressed, and you're invested in the Harvey story. And I think this is part of that theme of this isn't an objective detective looking at evidence. It's an emotional, invested Batman making mistakes.
And that kind of explains his behavior back in like the first issue we talked about when he breaks in and just starts beating the shit out of Alberto. And Sophia's like, the Joker is also here.
The Joker is also here. Do you remember the Joker? The guy that you were
like, he's so angry at Alberto. Yeah. Like he's so mad about losing Harvey, and Alberto kind of led Harvey to that fate.
I love this cutscene in this issue of like Alberto almost killing himself after maybe thinking he killed Porter.
Yeah.
I don't think he actually thinks he did it, but like,
he
basically says no.
He's in a fragile mental state.
Yeah. Well, the key is he's like, that's it. For once, make me proud of you. And he's like, suicide? My father wouldn't. And he's like, you're not my father. And he shoots at the mirror, and it's Calendar Man. But the immediate next page is just Calendar Man face down in the mud outside.
It's jarring.
Like, holy shit. It's not just like, it's like they both have a gun pointed at each other ish, but Calendar Man is pointing a gun straight at Alberto, and Alberto's kind of like his hands off to the side. And then it turns out that Alberto gets the upper hand here is crazy.
Well, when I first read this issue, I just lost it. When it turned out that Calendar Man had spent like 2 months living behind a mirror, I just couldn't. I was
Jim and Batman literally mentioned that, don't they? They're like, "Oh, he's been behind the mirror. He's been behind the mirror the whole time. That's a long time. The whole time.
There's no shit bucket in there. Like I don't.
Well, he said something like they say something like he spent years in Arkham behind glass just to go behind glass again or something. I don't remember who says it.
Yeah, I was made that comment. But I don't know how long he was back there. But if you look at the panel, like there's no food, there's no shit bucket, there's no bathroom. It's just
we had a whole network, right?
That just means he's going out of a secret passageway and using a toilet and going back in. You know.
I just like to think of it as just that little sassy queen behind a glass mirror for 2 months, just waiting, just waiting. But then the joke's on him because he just gets killed. I mean,
gets his ass kicked, shot,
dying.
I like how they go at it. This reminded me of Iron Man Armor Wars. Because it's something you said, Patrick, when we were doing Armor Wars. We were just like, there's so many times when Tony just beats the shit out of somebody, and if it wasn't for the dialogue going like he's barely alive, like, you wouldn't know. And it's basically just like Jim Gordon's like, he's still alive, barely. His jaw's been broken to keep him from talking. And Batman's just lifting up his leg, like looking at shit, like, oh, okay.
He's like lifeless. Yeah, he's lifeless. Like he's just
like, look, an ambulance is on the way. We don't care that much.
And then now we kind of get the big reveal because going through the Hangman clues with Robin, you know, they go from like, well, none of you are safe to 9 of you are safe.
That's Robin's big detective moment, man. You're just glossing over it.
And 9 of you are safe refers to the 9 higher ups of the crime families. And so then it becomes clear that, it wasn't a warning that none of you are safe. It was actually a promise that 9 of you are safe. And the Hangman is a member of the crime families.
And there's only like 3 of them still alive. 4.
Yeah, and Batman breaks into the Falcone penthouse and finds a lot of Hangman paraphernalia.
Okay, there's a couple things I want to mention here.
Well, I want to talk about all these Hangman masks that we've never seen because the Hangman never shows themselves. So why have that mask? Like, why have this secret identity of the Hangman when we've never seen that? No one's ever seen the Hangman.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. All right. It's a single. Well, it's not a single panel. It's 2 panels. But that's the brilliance of it. I have one of them on screen for YouTubers, but this double panel of Batman's being still, but Robin moving from one side to the other with the split, because that's the only reason to split the panel. I just love it. It's the best use of, let me split this panel in half to show him darting around Batman to look at the evidence while Batman just sits still. It's
very good.
It's a very subtle art technique of splitting a panel like that, but I love it. Like Robin's on one side in the first one, on the other side in the second. Great.
It's great. Another question, Joe, you have a young son. Do you ever lean in real fucking close to his face? Like just shove your face into his and ask it and just say this isn't a game? Like as you're just shoving your face into his?
I mean, I don't say this isn't a game, but yes, I do.
Okay. I just wanted to check.
I don't know if you've ever been around a 3-year-old child for any length of time, Al, but there are times when you need to grab them and focus your eyes so they're looking at your eyes and go, you're not going to hit your sister again.
Okay. Right? I just wanted to ask. I just wanted to ask.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then you're like, cool. We're on the same page now. That's not weird.
Yeah, I wanted to confirm. And again, for podcast listeners who maybe aren't seeing the YouTube stuff, you don't see the visuals. There's just a panel where Bruce is just, his face is like flat up against Dick's and just saying, this isn't a game. This isn't a game.
I really like that.
You know what's funny about it is because it's Dick kind of justifying where he's coming from. He's like, I'm serious. Look, we used to play games like this all the time on the road. dots, tic-tac-toe, Hangman. He's like, this isn't a game. He's like, sorry.
Yeah, I love how Robin
Like,
says sorry
yeah.
like that. Like he's not
Yeah.
phased by this
Great.
massive man at all.
He's like, Jesus Christ,
Jesus.
dial it down, bro. You're only 13. I'm 11. I know what I'm doing.
Well, but he knows that
mental.
Batman is mentally 12 years old. So
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not. Okay, back to what I was talking about. In the Hangman's lair, there's all this Hangman masks and paraphernalia we've
Yeah.
never been privy to before this.
Mhm.
We didn't know the Hangman looked like. Like what? What?
Again, I'm not discounting that. That is a good point.
We
And
just
why
never
haven't
knew
we
that
at
the
least
Hangman had a
visually
mask.
seen the Hangman for
Yeah,
like
we
1
never knew the
second
Hangman had a
before this?
mask.
However, wouldn't it make sense that Sophia would put a mask on or something to hide her face when she's murdering people left and right? Even though we haven't seen it. Just saying,
No.
like, it makes sense.
I get that. 100% I get that. I just think it's funny
It is
comic
funny.
wise that we're first introduced to the Hangman's identity just now of like, okay, I guess that's what she was wearing when she killed people.
I think maybe, and I'm going out on a limb here, but like maybe the reason for that is to still keep it a mystery for the reader that there was like a reason to hide their identity, or who knows? So like this is.
Well, I think it's still to keep it a mystery of, is it Sophia or is it Mario or is it Alberto? Like we don't.
Dude, I'm telling you, like to this point, like when I read this the first time, I was like convinced that no human being would get thrown down the stairs and watch the Joker walk down at them with a gun and still be the bad guy. So I was like, well, it's not Sophia. And I was like waiting for the other shoe to drop on Mario, who had been like wanting to make the.
Yeah, I think they're baiting
the
out. I mean, I think they're baiting out that like, or they're hinting that it's Mario because he's the one who's been trying to go straight and all that. So I think they're probably leaving it at, well, it's the Falcone penthouse, but you know, which
there's
one
been like
is it?
7,000 unsubtle clues of like Gordon being like, that's the third time you've said Mario and not Falcone, and like Bruce going like, you better not be involved in this Falcone or like Mario or whatever, you know, like in certain scenes when he like keeps him alive. And he's been subtle enough of a character where he's like not around a lot, but like I don't know. I was just like, I'm pretty sure it's Mario, not Sophia.
And then last note, so when Batman finds all this, he gets yanked.
Well, there's
off
a
the
Hangman note that
stage.
says you Luce.
What? No, it says Y blank
It says
U.
yo
Y blank U.
Lowe's. Yo Lowe's.
L blank SE.
Right, that's what I said. You Luce. What?
And then he gets yanked off stage by a lasso, and he's hanged.
A lasso. It's
Well, but
yanked
it's
off stage by
so
a
I just
noose.
want to, again, I know this is if you're listening, you don't get the visuals. This last page of the issue, which is Catwoman laying across a fence with Batman just hanging on a noose under her. I wish this was what sex was all the time. Like, this is the most sexual thing I've ever seen. This is incredible. She is incredible, and this is incredible. I don't know what else to add.
We're gonna wake up in 6 months waiting to do the next episode, and we're gonna find out that Al died of asphyxiation from
happens all the time.
Erotic asphyxiation.
I hope. Look, if I died because a woman built like a Mack truck, choked me to death, I'll go into that good night happily. I would love going that way.
Built like a Mack truck. Do you want to talk about Catwoman?
I don't. We've discussed this. I am not going to. Oh my God! Look at her! Look at her! She is. Oh my God! Tim Sale. If Tim Sale had done nothing else in his life, drawing Catwoman that way is.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's my favorite version of Catwoman that's ever been.
A gift.
Oh yeah, easily.
Ever been drawn.
She's just incredible.
I like her in current comics. I like her, but this.
Look at her fucking trapezoids. That's insane.
I know.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Again, I know. I think I made this comment last time. It's like that last scene of Ghost in the Shell when she's ripping the tank up and her musculature is out of control.
You did.
That's just Selina's like resting state as Catwoman.
Issue 13.
Issue 13.
That is way too vicious with her.
So before
end
of issue 12, Daddy Watch. Still Daddy. We're still a daddy. Daddy James still has his gun out. Okay, issue 13. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost there. I know it's been a long time. We're almost there. we're getting there. This is even more. I mean, this angle of just her ass and him hanging is even hotter than the other one.
I mean, she's provocative.
She is just incredible. Perfect woman.
Dude, on the other side of that coin, Batman flipping backwards up out of a noose is fucking insane. Like, he just launches himself off the side of the building using the noose as a fucking, like, arc and lands on the building. Fucking, what the fuck?
I just want to say, if
I mean, you find out later, oh, I had a neck brace and, like, armor on or whatever. But, like, at the moment, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
I just want to say, if I were Batman, I would have just stayed there, just hanging.
Well, you wouldn't be alive anymore.
Why get out of that? You know? But he does flip out, and then he just brutalizes Catwoman.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because Patrick's been talking about this on our text thread and in the span of this episode.
I mean, he just beats the shit. I mean, it's terrible. Yeah,
it was just jarring. It was just jarring. It's not.
What's jarring about it?
He throws a metal
beats the shit out of her for no reason.
Like, he hits
the shit out of her.
Yeah.
That metal disc that he throws into her back.
Pulley.
Like,
yeah.
It's how much does that thing weigh? It's bigger than her head.
100 pounds.
Easily could have paralyzed her. And then he goes from that. That was enough. And then he grabs her tail and like.
Oh yeah, this one.
Like, yeah. Like he does to her what Hulk does to Loki at the end of Avengers, except she's just a mortal woman, not
just once.
Asgardian. And then he steps his boot on her neck.
On her neck.
I think her neck. Not that this helps in any way, shape, or form, because it doesn't. But I think it speaks to his not desperation, but like exasperation of like just being fed up with the whole fucking thing. He's like, I'm fucking done. Stop running. Like we're not doing the runaway thing where we flirt on the rooftops. Like, this is over. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and again, not that it makes it okay. But I'm just saying, like, psychologically, I think Batman's just like, this is fucking it. Like, I'm not playing this fucking game.
I disagree. I think if Batman had come back from a 2-week vacation in Hawaii, he'd still beat the shit out of this one. I think he's just a bad person. Like, he just would beat the crap out of her regardless.
I would have thought, like, if you're really angry and he loses his temper, after he throws that metal disc into her back, he would probably have been like, "Oh, I probably took it too far just then. I probably should just." But he doubles down. And he just keeps wailing on her. It's just like.
Well, I like how it's a disc. It's two people.
I think it's
playing...
less wailing down on her and just more like pinning her down. Like he knocks her over, and then she's immediately up and slashing at his throat. Which, really, she's just getting the noose off him because she's awesome. But then he grabs her and throws her down again, and I think he's just trying to stop her from running. Like that.
But I mean,
like that's what's
easily
going on.
like. Her
but I think it's just they're both playing different games because she keeps kind of playfully reacting like, "Oh, so you don't want to play?" And
he's like, "I'm not fucking playing." Yeah, I think that's
again,
what the
like
point
we
of
mentioned, she
what
broke
this is
the
trying to get
noose.
across.
Yeah, she broke the noose off of him. Like she's playing this game of like, "Oh, we're having
we're
fun here." And he's just like, "No, I'm gonna choke you to death."
He's like, "I'm not fucking around right now."
Yeah, he just says, "I'll choke you to death unless you tell me what I want," and it's fucked up. But we find out the truth about Sofia Gigante.
I mean, she does yell, "Now get your damn boot off of me," and he does. It's not like he's like, "I'm gonna fucking crush your larynx."
So don't defend. Oh, great! After he physically abuses her.
No, I'm just saying she's going to. My point is, I disagree. I think she's going toe to toe with him.
So
up until the point where his boot's on her goddamn throat.
So, Joe, you're saying that "get your damn boot off me" is their safe word?
No, I don't think they have a safe word. What I'm saying
it's all
is
fun
I think
and games,
Catwoman
but then
was
when
fine
you hear
after the
"get your boot
initial
off me,"
hit. Although in reality, that thing hitting her would have hurt way worse. I think, like, I don't know. Batman versus Batman is what I'm seeing, and he thinks of her as an equal. So he's like, I need to take her ass down. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's like when he punches Solomon Grundy. He's like, I got to do this, or it's gonna get bad.
I don't agree with any of this. She is a goddess walking among
I completely
fucking
agree with
ants,
that.
and he doesn't recognize that. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So anyway, Catwoman tells him the story of Catwoman when in Rome. It's a 6-issue miniseries that takes place in the middle of this story.
Yeah, and we get a 2-page summary of what happened to Sophia.
Yeah,
and that she's not really paralyzed.
Well, it doesn't. Does it say she's not really paralyzed?
It hints that she couldn't find the orthopedic surgeon that
Yeah,
Maybe.
It
it's
just says
heavily
that she's a psychopath
implied.
and was healed, and then cut her own face to be like more like her papa.
Her papa.
You know?
Also, papa isn't spelled Poppa. It's spelled Papa.
Yeah, everyone knows
Papa
that.
is Papa. It's not Poppa. Jeph.
I think
Jeph.
what he's trying to do is
Jeph. It's
elicit
spelled
a phonetic
Papa.
response to someone reading it out loud in their brains.
I'm just Jeph. Like that's not
He's
how you
trying
spell
to get
papa.
an accent across via phonetic spelling.
Not how you spell papa.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
Also, we get hinted at, when he says, "Who is Sophia Falcone to you?" And then she's about to answer, but then Batman's. So we get hinted at that, that they're maybe related, maybe half sisters, but we're not going to confirm
The key
that
is that
right
she
now.
wouldn't answer him, I think.
And this
when
is
she
where
finally turns around, he's gone.
Yeah, and Joe, this is where you mentioned earlier. He takes his suit off and he just has fucking medieval armor around his neck.
Yeah.
He's
And
that
like,
afraid
Alfred
well,
made me wear it. Yeah.
Well, I like that idea of like they're so afraid of the Hangman killer that they just make neck armor.
Yeah.
For him. I just think that's.
I mean, come on, that's pure comic books. I love that shit. Like the fact that like Batman's been like chasing after the quote unquote Hangman for 11 months or whatever. And then like, you get to this point where Batman gets hung. Oh, by the way, that last issue didn't have a death because it was Batman, theoretically. Would have been
he was supposed to be the technically.
Which it goes against Long Halloween because there was a death every time except for April Fool's.
It also makes
April Fool's
was
Jim Gordon, and he got rescued by Two-Face / Batman.
It also makes it seem like Sophia must have known that Catwoman was going to hang him playfully and then not kill him, and then she wouldn't then hang someone else, right?
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think like Sophia assumed that Batman would be the victim that month, so to speak. Like that she had by hanging Batman and throwing him over the ledge of the building, she had accomplished what she needed to accomplish, kind of thing.
Also, Batman's neck armor so in our Astonishing X-Men talk, we talked about Colossus, whether it was plates or muscles or not, but this is very Colossus plate.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Armor.
I like it. It's cool. It's cool design.
There's
also little tongue-in-cheek designs of Robin's future costume, and there's a lot of Batmite, Batboy, Batty, Spooky. That's a title he was thinking of.
And then we get kind of a montage of Two-Face's masked criminal gang taking out just a bunch of mob people. The Vides, Skeever, like it's just kind of a Bobby Gazzo, whoever that dude was. It's just a montage of they're taking out mafia people and they're getting ready for a big event. So now the big kind of giant ending climax.
So, to the crime family being taken out, there's the Two-Face. Why him and Batman both have a giant poster of the crime family is hilarious to me. Yeah. But like, the only three left are Sophia, Alberto, and Mario. Like they've taken everybody out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of the 9 of you are safe. Theory that Robin gave us last issue.
Did Sophia know they were going to come after her? Like, is she that big of a genius tactician that she knew?
Yeah.
Because it seemed like she was very much set up for that with the explosions and everything.
I think. She maybe just had like a contingency plan ready and set it off.
I think while being the Hangman and taking out the cops and everybody that she thinks fucked her family over, kind of thing, the Gordon, Batman, Two-Face, Harvey Dent trio that sought to take her family out. This whole book is about her enacting her revenge of taking them all out. Hence the fact that the police officers are the ones she's going after. And at first, the first half of this series, it's the corrupt cops from Batman Year One that Gordon and Batman and Harvey Dent all dislike. So it gives the illusion that it could be Two-Face or Harvey Dent doing it still. But by midway or by issue 8, like when we picked up this episode, it's shifted to like Gordon's team of uncorrupt cops, so to speak. So like, yeah. It starts to lay out the idea that like clearly the Hangman isn't going after what Two-Face and Harvey Dent and Batman and Jim Gordon were going after. It was more of like a tit for tat for you took out the crime family, so now I'm going to take out you. Hence the 9 of you are safe idea. To your point, does she have a fucking knowledge like that for, like foreseen knowledge of like what's going on? After that fucking attack of like all those other extraneous mob guys get taken out by the fucking lunatic villains, yeah, I think she does. I think she's going into this going like, oh, Alberto and Mario are the only ones left. They're coming after us tomorrow.
I guess I was thinking it all happened the same night.
Oh no, I don't think so. It could have.
No, because it's in the news. It's in the newspaper.
I think it's not. It's not like 2 months have passed, but it's not.
No, well, the last issue is 1 month.
But so, another question I had about Sophia. Were you clear on why did she kill Alberto? Why kill Alberto now?
So
did that make sense?
Because
when we meet them, like they're holed up in the Falcone mausoleum, sort of, and Alberto's bleeding because we find out that even though they clipped Calendar Man, Alberto was also clipped by Calendar Man and is kind of dying. And Sophia's like, well, we can't go to a hospital because they'll know things, and so she just kind of smothers him and kills. I just wasn't clear on why she wanted to kill Alberto suddenly.
I'm not going to say it is sudden, I guess, in the sense of how it happens. I think it's a slow build of Sophia, I don't know, being at your quote unquote rope's end in terms of like where she's at in the story arc, but also I think it has a lot to do with like how Alberto is acting in this moment.
Yeah,
there's a lot of weakness here, and it's a lot of like he lacks the strength of her father. Like, why have I let you hang around this long?
So the only thing I could come up with is that while they were living together, he had a police monitor on because he was in house arrest. But after the whole Calendar Man debacle and switching the anklet to cameraman, I think at that point she felt maybe freer to just say like, this is dead weight. I'm just going to kill you. But if she had done it before, it would have been...
But I think if he had been like, I'm a badass motherfucker Falcone, like I don't think she would have killed him. I think it's his weakness in this moment that makes her go like he literally says, I'm not my father, I just want to live. And he's like, you're right, Alberto, you're not like Papa. And you never will be. Like she literally says the words like, he got shot 5 times and he survived. Like you got winged in your arm and you're acting like a baby, like kind of thing. And like also
she was betrayed by Mario. Like Mario totally flipped and was working.
Yeah, Mario flipped on her and like, yeah, I don't think
Well, she clearly, obviously sees herself as the Falcone heir, and her brothers is, not. Like she is their father's daughter.
I don't know how far you are in the Penguin, but I think it's kind of the reclamation of her Gigante name and not about the Falcones anymore. Like she's just like, fuck you, fuck Mario, like, and just like, I'm Sophia Gigante. Like that's it.
Yeah, again, Gigante just literally means giant. Like her name is just big.
We know, Al.
I just mean that's an interesting
You've exhaustively explained that.
The big girl, but anyway.
Anyway, bombs explode.
So she blows up Two-Face's lair, blows up the sewer near the PD. Blows up the PD. Everything's blowing up.
I thought
Mario's like, they're trying to kill me.
Aren't they? She blows up. I don't know. This is where I get confused. She blows up. She blows up. Aren't they near her house? Aren't they near the mansion that they live in? Like aren't they near the Falcone estate?
Who?
Like aren't Two-Face and all them? Aren't they coming for her underneath the sewers? And she sets the bombs off because then they end up at the Batcave like 2 seconds later, and they make a point earlier.
That's true, but I don't know how far they travel.
They're connected to everything. Like the sewers get you everywhere, from Batcave to Falcone residence.
Yeah, those tunnels. I mean,
courthouse to everywhere.
Those tunnels like connect everything, I think. But like, and I think the Batcave connection is like, how far do they walk in those panels? Like, we don't know, that kind of thing. I think they're just trying to escape.
Well, I mean, to Patrick's point, I think, Patrick, you're right about the sequencing to where Two-Face's gang was using the sewers to get to Sophia's place, and she blew it up before.
But why is the precinct getting its windows blown in? Is to Patrick's point.
Yeah, that's right.
Like if they're out, like where Wayne Manor and Alberto.
It's all close by.
Not by
Have you been to Gotham? The PD's right near Wayne Manor, which is right near the Falcone estate. It's all
right. I'm kind of on Patty's page on that one, but all right.
It's all near there. And then we see, so Two-Face almost gets hanged. And this is, again, to Tim Sale, you see Sophia out of the flames walk towards Two-Face, almost looking like a Frankenstein monster.
Oh,
It's
she's fucking the Hulk.
She is scary. Look at
I
this
do
panel.
love the
She
bit.
is just scary, towering.
I know.
Yeah.
I do love the bit of like the man that's made of straw is the one that's on fire. Batman puts him out. It's a throwaway thing, but I'm like, of course, like of anybody that's gonna be like engulfed in flames when Batman goes down in the sewers.
And it's another example of Batman shoving his face into somebody and just saying, where's
He's engulfing him in his cloak. Come on.
I just mean he talks to Robin the same way he talks to Scarecrow. Is that healthy?
Sure.
Is that healthy?
I talk to my own children like they're criminals all the time.
Okay, well then I guess it's fine. Okay, so we get the Sophia and Two-Face kind of confrontation hanging.
Yeah, Sophia and Two-Face for 5 seconds, and then Batman swoops in, and Sophia and Batman have it out for 5 seconds, and then Two-Face blows her brains out very unceremoniously. The end of the Hangman.
So this goes back to the Porter comment we made. This is another one where all this build-up...
This was jarring to me. Porter's death, not jarring at all. It was like Sophia's the killer. And then we get down into the big confrontation, and they have a fight for 5 seconds, and Two-Face is like, blam! And you're like,
bam, she's dead. She's just shot in the head, dead, immediately.
Insult to injury, he hangs her with the same noose that she was hanging him with.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yittity, and just jumps down like a tunnel.
No, but that part of it was... all of this build-up, we find out who Hangman is. It's Sophia, incredible, and then she's immediately dead.
What I think is weird about this scene is how they get to the Batcave is so bizarre. I think
it's somehow right there.
Yeah. Well, they specifically say in an earlier issue that the Falcone residence is right down the street.
It's really close. Yeah, I know. Yeah. To your point, means that explosion happened like near both residences, which should be relatively not anywhere near the police precinct. But whatever. But also, all right. But why are they running still? Just to get away from Batman, I guess?
Yeah, why? Yeah, you want to get away from Batman. Also, the police precinct is kind of regrouping, ostensibly, right?
Yeah.
But I think most of it is just Two-Face got away from Batman and is trying to get away.
And then stumbles into the Batcave.
The Batcave, which has the T-Rex.
Both Joker and Two-Face and Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze.
And Mr. Freeze. And almost
all
Solomon
inside
Grundy,
of the Batcave. And then never use this knowledge again?
Yeah.
Like, oh, some little kid jumped out of nowhere and beat me up. I guess that's the end of that chapter.
Also, well, I think if a child beat you up, you probably just don't want to address that part of your history, and you just
but not addressing it is fine. But not going like years later, going like, wait a minute. now that there's been multiple Robins, maybe I should investigate that underground layer that I randomly stumbled upon, and Batman and this random child were.
Okay, but Joe, if you were to do that again, wouldn't you just be beat up by a child again?
Oh, very possibly. Very possibly.
The best predictor of future success is past success. So if you got beat up the first time by a child, you probably
why try again? Yeah. Why try again?
This Batcave also features the T-Rex, like all Batcaves.
Yeah, of course.
It's got a T-Rex in it.
I do love the little. I love that Robin's been like shafted off to the side as he should because he's a child and untrained. But I do love Robin being in the cave going like, because he's been training the whole time, just going like, oh shit.
Showtime.
Yeah. Showtime. Like, yeah. And then his little hand like reaching up and grabbing his cape and stuff.
Yeah.
Great.
Much like YRP in the beginning of Final Fantasy X2 said it's Showtime, girls.
Yeah.
Robin is saying it's Showtime.
Robin takes a lot of those villains out by himself.
I do agree, Joe. I think it's a cool way to introduce Robin rather than Batman actively saying, okay, go out and fight crime, child. Mm-hmm. It's more of like, oh, they've invaded our home.
Mm-hmm. And he's home aloneing it.
Yeah, you're just home aloneing it. And I thought that was a good way to do it.
And they're tripping on micro machines. Like, it's great. I love it.
Having said that, this child is getting bullet shot at with real guns.
He's fine.
Look at this panel. There are real guns shooting at this child.
He's okay. He's a trapeze artist. Bullets don't matter.
But yeah, and he and Batman team up, and they're taking out Joker, taking out Two-Face.
I do love the beat of
great.
Two-Face and Batman having that standoff, and he's like, for the second time, stop, Batman. He's like, Batman, I can, and he's like, stay back. He's like, Gotham City is mine now. Everyone else is dead. And then it's like, blam. Not everyone, Harvey. It's just Joker fucking around. Like, fucking Joker out of nowhere is just like, this is clearly not going to end in the result that I wanted. So, fuck you, Two-Face.
Yeah, so this is another one that I don't know if I really like how this wrapped up, because going back to Long Halloween to
so
Dark
fast.
Victory.
Yeah.
Well, right, and like we talked about, Long Halloween to Dark Victory, the main through line of both these series, we're at now whatever 28 issues of this giant arc, is the Harvey Batman Jim relationship, is like the linchpin of this whole narrative. And that Jim isn't involved at this end in any way whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And that Batman and Two-Face face off for 2 seconds before Joker shoots them. This felt very sudden.
Well,
and
it's not
really
a 2 seconds. He beats the crap out of Two-Face.
Okay, but I mean, on an emotional narrative level, nothing is discussed or addressed.
Yeah.
And again, I don't like that Jim. I feel like Jim should have been involved in this final confrontation with Two-Face. Given, if you go back from Long Halloween 1 to Dark Victory 14, that 3-person relationship is the core of all of this. So that Jim isn't there I just didn't like how all this wrapped up. I felt Jim should have been there.
The wrap-up pages where he does go back and speak to Jim about what happened, like that. I mean, he was there in the wrap-up, but I mean, not being there in the final confrontation, I get like that part is weak-ish. I get what you're saying. I do love how Batman. He's like, Batman, I can. Robin says, Batman, I can, and then Batman cuts him off and says, "Stay back, you," because Robin doesn't have a name.
Yeah, he doesn't have a Robin name,
and he can't say "Stay back, Robin." He just goes, "Stay back, you kid." I mean, like, he doesn't have anything to call him without revealing anything, so he says "you," and it just made me laugh. That's all. Anyway, Robin cracks Joker's wrist.
Pretty cool, huh?
Batman's like, "What is that you're wearing?" Like, right away. What is that? How'd you guys feel about the end of Dark Victory?
Yeah, so, and the rest is all just kind of wrapping up.
Yeah, again, Batman has a conversation with Gordon,
Also, so Selina, we get to see her at the mausoleum, again, just with this heavy implication that she's Falcone's daughter.
Again, no, she knows, she just can't prove it. Yeah.
Right, but also, and I know we had the When in Rome side stuff going on, I just really felt like also Selina's arc was not really wrapped up or handled well in the resolution to this within this comic. Just that she goes up to choke him, they fight a bit, and then you find out Sophia's the Hangman, and then it just ends. It just felt, I just wanted more out of the resolution there with their relationship.
Yeah.
Just like I wanted more out of the Harvey, Jim, Batman Trinity going on here. I just felt like we were kind of cheated out of that a little bit, especially because this is 14 issues. It felt like it was 14 issues building up to a climax, and the climax is like all shoved into one issue, and then we're done. And it could have been explored a little bit more.
I agree.
Deeply.
The only reason I would disagree is just because it's not going in the direction that you would want it to go in terms of like wrapping it up into a tight little bow. I think it's not the purpose of this series, but like the end resolution of this series is that like it's wrapping those characters up into the places that they need to be in to allow future comics to exist, kind of thing. Like Jim Gordon's not there on the front lines anymore, because he almost had a bunch of cops die in the sewer. So he's up on a building waiting for Batman to come and tell him what happened. Like kind of thing. And Batman now has Robin. Like I don't know, there's little things there that like make it work for me. Whereas I get your perspective completely. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, from the full perspective of like, the idea of this is to move them away from the year one scenario and into like the regular comic book scenario of like Jim Gordon's up on the rooftop, lights the bat signal, and they come and talk to him. Like that kind of feel is what you get at the end of this, and I think that's what they were like moving toward. That status quo was what they were moving towards.
Yeah, I think my main problem is I'm viewing this as a self-contained book with a beginning, middle, and end, but it's really just a book with a beginning, middle, and now comics for the rest of the time.
Comics. Yes.
And maybe that's the part that isn't.
And I think, and like to me, that like as a like from my perspective, I'm going like that's what I was expecting, and like that's what I'm okay with, kind of thing.
Pat, how did you feel about the ending?
Pretty similar. I mean, it like I said, it was confusing to me how they ended up at the Batcave, and then Robin shows up.
Well, yeah.
And like I don't know why we cut to Mario. I feel like we haven't talked about Mario in like 2 issues, so I just didn't give a shit that
he burned
what
his
he was up
down.
to. Yeah, I'm like I don't know. It was kind of an abrupt ending for it to be 13 issues long, and I don't know. The use of Robin was fun, but also kind of random. I don't know. I enjoyed seeing him fight all the rogues, and I don't know. Yeah, it all moved very fast at the end.
It did, yeah.
Also the reveal at the end that Falcone is alive in a Mr. Freeze block.
Yeah,
what are we supposed to do
alive.
with that?
He just has his body,
or has whatever. Okay, has the body. I just it was all a bunch of stuff that I don't know. It was just kind of a lot.
I think that was again. I think that was like a thing of like Two-Face is still alive. Everybody, like I don't know. Like there's a lot of like throwaway shit at the end of this that's just like, and now regular comics, as you phrased it out. Like I think some of that is just like, and we wrap this up, and here's a nice little bow, which is I think very interesting because it was always meant to be a trilogy, and currently the last Halloween is coming out right now, which I'm like. How are they gonna? Let's see where this goes, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I do like the very last page, which is Batman kind of swearing in Robin into the Brotherhood of Children fighting crime. And his thought bubbles say, "I made a promise to my parents that I would rid the city of the evil that took their lives. That remains unchanged. Only now, I am no longer alone." And I think that does tie into because in the last Halloween, he tried to connect with Jim and Harvey, and that spectacularly did not work. Yeah. Right. But I do like that now he sort of has found a partner for his quest in Robin. So
another 12-year-old to hang out with.
Yep, basically. And final note, final page, again, Daddy by James is still on that bulletin board.
It's all the lights are turned off.
Daddy with his gun by James. Dark Victory.
Did we do recommendations for this?
Actually, did we? Sorry. I know, Patrick, you've maybe had mic trouble. We've talked about this, but are you getting like feedback in your headphones? Are you getting a, does this pass the Bechdel test? The Bechdel test, the Bechdel test. Does this pass the Bechdel test? The answer's probably
no.
No. That's a very De Beer no, Patrick.
No.
Very mindful. I don't, these last 7 issues do not pass the Bechdel test in any shape or form.
I don't think any woman even talks to another woman.
The only scenes women are in are when they're being murdered or beaten up. This is a bad one for the Bechdel test. It's not good.
No.
So Jeph Loeb, let's do better next time, because this is really bad. These issues 7 through 14 or whatever are not good for Bechdel test. I guess final recommend. I'd say. I think I tipped my head already. I loved this. Obviously, I would recommend it you need to read Long Halloween first. I wouldn't say just get Dark Victory out of the ether and read that. You've got to read Long Halloween first for the context. But I think this is an incredible Batman story. I don't think it's a coincidence that Christian Bale drew on this Batman for his character in the Dark Knight movies. I don't think it's a coincidence that Christopher Nolan and the writers on the series really drew heavily from both Dark Victory and Long Halloween, especially in The Dark Knight and the Harvey Gordon Batman relationship. This is just everything Batman needs to be. I know that we poked holes in it and made fun of certain aspects of it, which is, all of that's in good fun. But just it's everything a Batman story should be. Love this. It's incredible. The villains are great. Batman's great. The art, Tim Sale again was just amazing in this. I loved it. I recommend it, but again, read Long Halloween first, please. You got to read Long Halloween first. But this was great. So that's my recommendation.
I also recommend it. It's very good. Yes, I've read it 3 times in the last 2 months, and there's still things I've missed clearly as we talk about it. So it's a very nuanced, layered story. If you have to pay attention when you read it, and yeah, it's a different version of Batman that you're not really used to seeing. He's very unpolished. So I highly recommend.
Speaking on the unpolished nature, I think Batman Year One is a classic in its own right, and building off of that, what they've done in expanding that storyline in this and Long Halloween is spectacular. Al, I don't know if you spoke about this, but you mentioned you like Dark Victory more than Long Halloween. Does that still hold up?
I think so, yeah, because I just thought especially that, I think it was issue 4 or 5, but the Arkham breakout, I just thought was a great just action, just as a single issue of a comic. I just thought was incredible.
I think I agree with you, and here's why. And you do have to read Long Halloween to appreciate any of this, but I think Dark Victory is a better book and also one of the best Batman books ever made, but because Long Halloween is. But I think it's because of the way they introduce Robin in such a logical and interesting way. That is a very interesting and important aspect of Batman to me. Like, that's obviously something that I love very deeply. And like them doing it, the handling of Robin's introduction into Batman's life and like how it fits into when he would even be emotionally available to accept that in his life is very integral to the storyline in a microcosm kind of thing. Like, Catwoman's gone and therefore Robin is not necessary, but like fills like a void sort of that he was latching on to Selina in a certain way. But I mean, just art wise, story wise, it's better than Long Halloween in ways, because it spans that year long kind of story the same way Long Halloween does, but it's not so, I don't know, regimented and like everything falls on a holiday and like it has to be a certain thing and like every issue is a new villain. And they sort of did that same thing here, but it was a more loose, and it's just like, it's really more of a broad arching story arc that took Batman in his early years a long time to solve with his friend Jim Gordon. I liked the relationship with Jim and Batman in the beginning was like on the outs as the story set out, like based on like what happened in Long Halloween and their loss of Harvey. Everything like about the story is really, really good in the sense of like they pick up all those pieces from the last story arc. So like, it's hard to say it's better than. I think it's just the perfect sequel, if that makes sense. Like there's nothing. I've never read like another sequel or seen a movie where it's a sequel where I'm like, that's as good as the original, if not better. Like, and that's hard to do. So the fact that they even came close is, I think, just like phenomenal. Anyway, highly recommend Dark Victory. Even more so than Long Halloween. The caveat is that you have to read Long Halloween to get there, and I think that's where we kind of all are.
It's a catch-22. You got to start at Long Halloween.
Yeah, it's catch-22. All right, boys. I think we won comics for the week.
Good journey, everyone.
Goodbye.